Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Pearl Daily here on the Audacity Network. I am your host, Pearl, and today we are going to talk about how women have a tendency to ruin men's hobbies, in particular video games. However, we're going to do a derail, a sidetrack, an off-topic comment from the show today. Because it's a state of an emergency, guys. There has been so much simping, I can't deal with it. This is becoming a simp-ademic. Michael Knowles released a clip today that he is not only doubling down on Nala being super sorry and now a representative of Catholicism. He brought her back with her simp husband. Congratulations, Catholics. Michael is your most well-known representative. Amazing. How awesome is this? This is who's representing Catholicism today. You think I'm kidding? He's one of the most well-known ones. All right, this is what we got.
Really shook the internet the first time you came on. I got in so much trouble for talking to you.
I know you haven't. I appreciate that.
They say very nasty things about you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we know.
Okay. Let's make a prediction. This comes out at 9 a.m. tomorrow. And I want everybody to make a prediction. Will Michael call out the fact that she has hooker eyelashes on, a full face of makeup and fake hair, and that in this clip right here, wait, let me find it. Hold on. In her debate on whatever, she was dressed in spandex. Will he call that out? Can we make a poll? Is he going to call out the fact that she raised her OnlyFans prices? Is he going to call out anything? Is he going to hold her feet to the fire the way he would a man? Had he had a man who was a player and dating multiple women, the way that he would hold that man's feet to the fire, is he going to do the same for Nala? The only reason she hasn't received consequences is because she's somewhat hot. I know. I've never seen men fight harder for anything other than hot women's ability to be naked, be whores, and get away with it. And marry them. And give them every benefit of the doubt. You know, the only reason Michael Knowles didn't win the Simp of the Year is because, God, we're in a simp epidemic. This is like the pandemic, but it's like, what, is he going to win over the guy that married her? And that's why I think we're going to make a hierarchy of simps today, and I want you guys to help me because it's still a running topic.
Shook the internet the first time you came on. I got in so much trouble for talking to you.
I know you haven't. I appreciate that.
They say very nasty things about you.
So here we go. This is what happens in churches. Guys like him, they're no better than the men that allow the gay flags. I swear, no better. They exact same. Just in a different way. He's saying, yes, fellas, here's a whore for you guys to marry. We're going to make her do no work, give her clout, and allow her to represent Christianity.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we know.
You were a lying, deceiving prostitute.
Now, again, this is what they do. They go and they try to shame men for their tone while dying on the hill of a prostitute. Please, if you're a Catholic, put a 2 in the chat. Put a 2 in the chat. Is this who we should allow to represent us? I don't know.
You said that you lied about everything. People were tagging me in it on social media, and they said, see, Michael, here's proof that she lied to you.
Everything I've said on podcasts is complete clickbait.
Why do you think?
So what they're going to do is they're going to say, no, 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 she was talking about what she said before was a lie and now is totally the truth. And the thing is with guys like this, they either want to get laid so bad or they want to be right so bad. I don't know which it is, but they want their religion to be right so bad that all the facts will go against what they believe. But because they want that story to market on their show, that's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to push. They want it too bad. I mean, it's a need to be right, but in men, instead of like looking at the facts. Is he going to bring up any of the facts? Michael, I swear. If you brought up none of the facts that I've laid out on 5 different live streams, nobody from your team reached out for me with receipts. 0. None. Nada. Naski. Why didn't you bring her on with me or reclaim your throne? He was on her ass. Why didn't you bring her on with Andrew? No. What you did is you're facilitating an apology tour. Idiot. God, what an idiot. He's either an idiot or it's malicious and he wants to get laid. I don't know which it is. I'm ticked off.
People want you to be lying.
That happened to her. I can't believe that it's real, because then that means I can change my ways and still get saved.
You have got to be kidding me. So her argument is nobody's allowed to question if it's real because of her actions, but it's because we don't think that we can be saved. And this is what they do. They go into the churches. They think, I can get a get out of jail free card here. I can totally revamp. There's all these guys with no experience. So now let me do my rebrand here. And then on top of that, the men are going to fight for me. They're all going to fight with each other and argue over if I'm sincere. I don't even have to fight. I can bring in my simp husband in and this other simp that's like the equivalent of, I don't know, the pastor or the theology teacher, whatever. And they're going to die on the hill of letting me be a hooker. Good deal. Good deal.
Was brought up in the church. Is this mental illness?
People have criticized you because they say, you made all this money. Where's the penance? They say you should give all your money away.
Now, is he going to say, did you see this simpidemic? My God. And he called her the prodigal daughter. Oh, make it end. They're like, why don't men? I actually Googled this the other day that there's more Catholic women than men. Officially. It's like 55. It's barely. It's closer than a lot of other religions. It's like 55% women, 45% men. Well, here's your representatives. Here you go.
Money. Where's the penance? They say you should give all your money away.
He said they say that there should be a penance. That's his argument. He's saying he can't take ownership and say, I'm a Catholic. That was a shitty thing to do. Why don't you give, he has to blame it on everyone else. Simp. What a simp. Oh my gosh. Now, I want you guys to help me here. Now, I went to Twitter. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I got to go on to Twitter. And I got to find some of the... I want to do a hierarchy of simping. Here we go. Oh, there's many different types of simps. Now, I'd like to say, this is a working video. It's working. We're not completely done with who's the hierarchy of simps. So, the way I think I'm going to do it here is I want to make the top the least simpy guys and the bottom the most simpy. Now, what makes somebody a simp? What is a simp? Somebody who worships women and really just gives women whatever they want, regardless of the consequence, regardless of how bad of people they are. So the number one simp. Wait, hold on. I have notes here. Dude, okay. The number one most common. You know what? Sorry, I need to re-talk about one thing. The top is going to be the most simpy. The bottom is the least simpy. So these are guys that put up with wives not sleeping with them. Yes. These are the most common. These are men afraid to divorce their wives. So they say, you can be as terrible as you want. You can give me nothing in return, but I will. Simp equals putting women on a pedestal. These are the guys that say, happy wife, happy life. Pretty simpy. Number two, but at least these guys, they might get a kid out of the deal, right? I mean, at least they're getting a kid or something. So next on the simp is guys that are friends with women for nothing in return. Now, what I'm not talking about, there are men that do get things out of friendships with women. I'll give you an example. There's a guy in Vegas, and he is a promoter for a club. So the women will go get him other women to bring to the club. He's getting something out of that. Or there's other guys that, like, their women friends will set them up with other women. Or their women friends, they get something in return. I am not talking about those guys. I'm talking about the guys that have been in love with a girl for years and accept that friendship. And they say, you know what? They have no self-esteem, so I deserve nothing in return. Stop it, kings. Say, put out or leave, bitch. I'm just kidding. Okay, next. We have the guys that pay for OF. And I want to give credit because Manko Smash on Twitter gave me a lot of these, so I do like to give credit where credit is due. Pay for OF, tips, messages for OF. So the guys that pay for OnlyFans, strippers, etc., they are super simps, but they're getting something in return. They use those women as therapists, or they use those women to make like special videos for them. They get some, at least they're getting more. You guys all think you're above the OnlyFans models. Like the men that you'll all say, those guys that pay for OnlyFans, they're the super simps. Well, are you and a girl's friend zone? Sorry. Now, next on the totem pole are the white knights. So these are the guys like Michael Knowles who fight for women they're getting nothing from. So they say, you're not giving me sex, a kid, or anything, but I'm gonna white knight and fight for you. The next we have Captain Save-A-Ho. These are the men like Nala's new man, where they marry women that have done sex work in the past. And now there's two forms of cucks that are at the top. So cucks 2, cucks 1. Now, the cucks 2, they're actually a little bit more accepting of female nature than, like, I don't know, the white knights. Like, some of the cucks are more realistic. They're like, she's going to leave and cheat anyway. I might as well get sex from her twice a week, but I'm also going to cheat. I want you guys to think about this. So, Lauren Southern, she was a conservative commentator who married a Christian guy. She cheated on her husband with Destiny, who was in an open relationship. Now, Destiny, his wife banged other dudes, but he was also banging other hot women. Who took the bigger L? The guy who got cheated on with Destiny, or Destiny, whose wife was getting dug out by other dudes, but he was also cheating? So cuck 2 are guys that their wives get dug out, but they also dig other women out. Cuck 1 are the men that accept cheating. So they're in a relationship, the woman's cheating, or the men that literally let the women sleep with someone else in front of them. They watch. Now, I'm open to adding more things, but this is just our original ballpark. I wanted to involve you guys. So if you guys have any thoughts on where the hierarchy of simps, who should be added, moved, but it's essentially, pretty much all I got right now. Let me go back. I need to put these headphones back in. Let me read the chat right now, and then we'll get into today's topic. I'm sorry I had to derail, but this is too big of news. This is ridiculous. I better see like 10 Catholic streamers calling this out. It shouldn't just be me, all right? I'm not even that religious. I don't want to represent here. Like, it's not me. But I know a bunch of Catholic streamers, okay? I do. No, I don't. I know like 2. But but I'm just saying there's a bunch. There's a bunch of channels. I expect this to be on the board. Otherwise, I don't want to hear anything. I don't. Doug says, you are not lying. It should be happy. Happy house, happy spouse. Roger just signed up for the monthly memberships. Thank you for coming, Roger. By the way, YouTube demonetized me. And guys, sometimes when I call out these women, they try to ruin my life. I really view myself as a protected class. I can say things you guys can't say. You guys think this stuff all the time. You haven't seen a guy, wife in a home, and thought hierarchy of simps? I'm sure you have. But I'm in a protected class. I can say these things. But sometimes these women retaliate. I don't know what Nala's going to do. I don't know if she's going to send her simp army after me. So it's really important that I can be YouTube free and not have to be dependent on an app that pushes me off. If I get 1 yearly membership a show, I'm YouTube free, and then I can really say whatever I want. Then I can, when YouTube gets on a phone with me, I can tell them to F off. Unless you're watching YouTube rap. Haha, I'm so sorry. Anyways. Now, let's talk about video games. So since we're talking about simps, the other thing that simps have a tendency to do is they have a tendency to fight for what women want and not in the best interests of men and their own gender. And really even society. They do this because they want attention from women, they want to get laid, or they just want their life to be easier, so they simp, They don't want to get fired. They're like, fine, don't care, simp, whatever. I'll say what I have to. Now, the other day I did a show about how women don't have hobbies, and we looked at a lot of videos of modern women admitting that they're just boring. The problem with dating or marrying one of these women is that for a man, they have nothing else to do but complain about what the man is doing. I mean, guys, how many times have you been in a relationship with a woman and she's constantly nagging you to get off of your game council, stop going to the gym, and just to spend more time with her? And you ask yourself, what is she doing all day? Why can't she find something to do to just leave me alone for a couple of hours? I was looking back at this show and I was thinking about how the number one hobby that women don't like when it comes to their men would be video games. No other male hobby is demonized as much as video games. You see entire podcasts of women complaining that their boyfriend's husband or partner spends too much time playing video games, and it's crazy. These women should be glad that their boyfriend is at home playing video games instead of out sleeping with other women. Last year, Liz Wheeler, a popular conservative commentator, put out a chart that showed the least attractive hobbies that a man can have to women, and video games were at the top. This started a firestorm online. People argued back and forth in the comment section about whether video games were a good thing or a bad thing. She says, this is 100% true. Video games is peak unattractive, red flag, deal breaker zone. Doesn't Elon Musk play video games?
That's a falsified chart. That's actually real.
Oh, it's not a real chart?
No.
Well,
She made that up or she got it off.
oh, let's see the bottom. It says there's no source for the reported finding, and the percentages are rounded even to the nearest multiple of 5, which is impossible. Okay, well, the point isn't really about the chart. The point is the woman nagging, right? And so she's saying it's a deal breaker. So what I'm hearing from Liz Wheeler is Elon Musk is now a deal breaker because he plays video games. Okay. It's weird that so many dudes don't get this. Imagine. I want to see Liz Wheeler telling Elon Musk on a podcast that he can't play video games and he's not doing enough. Imagine. Okay. Girl gamer tells women why their men play video games all day. So we got why your man is always playing his damn video games. Dear upset significant other, I am here to tell you why your man seems like all he does is play his damn online video games. From girl to girl, let me tell you, it's not you. I have been online gaming for many years, although my fiance is not much of a gamer. And he had a hard time understanding why I could sit and play a single game for hours on end. He would wonder if I even cared about him, when there was many times in our relationship I would rather play my game than watch a movie and cuddle. I can relate to both sides of the story. I feel like men are not good at explaining why they enjoy gaming, and women aren't good at understanding because they never got an explanation when asked. As a girl and a gamer, I'm here to let you know what's inside their brain. First off, because they game does not mean they don't love you. I am going to go into what I love about gaming, and hopefully you can understand why your man is so into it too. Being yourself. When I first started gaming, I found it as a place I could be myself and I didn't have to be serious and mature all the time. I enjoyed talking to and playing with others who were just like me. Sometimes you need that place where you can go to have fun, and it's a good time every time. Some people like me cannot stand to having to act like an adult 24/7. The competitiveness. If you are with someone who loves to compete, well, there you go. Nothing is better than chilling out and showing some people who is boss. Online gaming are so competitive that there's a rush that comes when you're trying to prove you've got what it takes, problem solving. Now I know what you're thinking, WTF, but seriously, most of the multiplayers I know are involved in lots of strategy. I'm always thinking of ways I could have done something better in a match or coming up for a new idea for next time. I thought about all these things at work, the hair salon and getting my nails done. Strategy and problem solving can be so driving. It keeps you going back for more. Gaming friends. Nothing is better than some gaming friends. I have always looked at my gaming friends as some of the best friends I've ever had. I trust these people with my life. Well, my virtual life, that is. But still, I've met some amazing people and have gamed with the same people for 10 plus years. With that being said, it's hard to retire the controller. So when you have one of your best friends calling you to ask you to F some shit up with them. It's just almost like turning down a lunch or a coffee date with your bestie. Just saying. Relaxation. After a long and stressful day, there's nothing better than hopping on your favorite game and focusing on it. It's a way of self-meditation. At least it is to me. I could have the worst days, and 99% of the time would feel better after I played my video game for an hour. It's definitely a diversion from the negative things you do in your everyday life. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand if you have a couch potato, no job having gamer boy, but my advice is to then drop his deadbeat ass. But if you have a hardworking man who pays his bills and enjoys his games, let it go. It's his hobby. His gaming has nothing to do with not loving you, I promise. A girl gamer. Now, women hate video games so much that there are stories of women that had to break up with men that played video games. He could clock 100 hours in a week. People are sharing heartbreaking stories about how video games became the breaking point in their relationship. Immersing yourself in a video game is like no other feeling. It's exciting to step into someone's shoes and live a life full of drama, thrills, and suspense. However, the fun hobby can turn into an addiction. When somebody begins to lose control over the amount of time that they spend gaming, it negatively impacts their self-care, schooling, and relationships. Reddit user, the goddess Pluto, I'm sure she is stable. A woman who broke up with someone due to video games, what was your breaking point? It was definitely interesting to see the range of stories from people prioritizing gaming over their partner to cases of addiction that were sad for everyone involved. 1, I dated a man who never seemed to have a problem with video games until well into the relationship. Every day, he started choosing games over being intimate or sleeping next to me. I left shortly after that. I don't want to... Okay, so if your guy... Let me get this straight. If your guy wanted to play video games over having sex with you, that might be a you problem. Let me continue. Not the sole reason, but definitely started the end of our relationship. We were living with his parents while we waited for an apartment. I would get up, drive an hour to work just to make no money as a server, come back exhausted, and he would be gaming. Unemployed, obviously, but he had stocks. What if he was like rich and she didn't know it? Or the stocks? Okay. I literally begged him just to make the bed for a week straight. He would continue to play the game after I was home. See, this is the thing. Guys that don't understand women, what they'll do is they'll think if they do these things that she'll be happy. The guys that have dated a lot, they know it doesn't matter. He could have made the bed every day. It wasn't the bed. It was, she didn't like something about him or whatever. I came home and I tried to show him the energy that I didn't have. He could clock 100 hours a week without thinking anything was wrong with it. Very happy with my current partner. Doug in the chat, guys, if you want your chat read, go to www.theaudacitynetwork.com. The link is in the first link in the chat, and we have it on both app stores. Well, Doug says, well into the relationship means she got fat and started nagging him. Rondolfo says, Doug, you're a savage. He is. All right, we hadn't gone on a date in weeks. We finally had a weekend free where we were both going to be free. He said to leave my day open because we were going on a date and he was planning it. On the day off, I woke up and he said he wanted to sleep in. I said, fine. And 5 minutes later, he said that his friends called him to play a game. In 3 minutes, he was ready and heading out of the house. He said it would just be a few hours and he left. He didn't come back until that night, but I was busy. He left and I took myself out to breakfast and decided to be done. By the time he got home, none of his things were in our bedroom. He tried to tell me I was exaggerating and blowing things out of proportion. I told him fine. He should go play games at his friend's house again. Our lease was ending in the next few weeks, so I took the following weekend to find a new place and he was in shock. Why would you go see a place and sign a lease without me? Why are you asking that question? It's over. Like, what I'm confused is Why are you? Okay. I made more money than him, so I paid for everything. See, I don't think it's the video games. I think it's the money. Like they don't say why they're really breaking up with the guy. Because if a woman likes a man, if she likes his nerdy hobbies, anyways, I am going to change, I promise. You want me to get rid of my gaming system? What a simp. Oh my gosh. This is an epidemic. I haven't done anything wrong, and I told him we were done. We hadn't had sex in over a year. Oh my God. So they didn't have sex in over a year, and he was begging for her back. Why? Look at the hierarchy. I want you guys to be honest. It happens. It happens to the best of us. When was the last time? Where were you at in this hierarchy? I mean, this wasn't a wife, but if they're living together and not sleeping with him, I mean, it might as well be a wife. We hadn't had sex in a year. I was tired of feeling single, so I wasn't making it official, and it wasn't my concern anymore where he lived. He tried to make me feel crazy and that he was the victim, so I moved out early and blocked him on everything. Best decision ever. Doug is going to say, I can guarantee Pearl's never going to say Ronald Dolphin's right. Just accept it. It's not, no, it's not, that's fair, Doug. My girl was getting a little blessed and she started working out because I lost weight. Oh, wait, I think I missed something. Okay, Ike said she broke up with him because she found somebody else at work. That would make more sense. That really would. Pearl, she wanted to nag at him over breakfast and dinner for no reason. She broke up with him, but she found somebody else at work. She eventually learned fritto pie, and so I couldn't lose hope. Well, I bought a year from YouTube ads, so YouTube paid you. LOL. Thank you, T-Carp. Pearl, she wanted to rip his soul out, and women who do this get kicked out for life. Damien says, being in emotional bonds is extremely painful for men who are continually busy with the real cares of life. Women want total focus to validate their emotional needs. Men want to, I think he's typing the next part. How many of you would beg for a woman to stay that wasn't sleeping with you? Please put a 1. I want a 1 in the chat if you've done it. Be honest. Be honest. Please. You guys cap sometimes and I don't need that. I don't. You can put a 2 if you haven't. And I'll allow a 3 if you've done it before, but you're reformed. You're a reformed simp. 1 said he's done it if she's paying for the bills. That's a little... I actually think the ultimate alpha is a guy that gets women to have sex with them and pay their bills. Because who else is getting more out of a woman? Who has more gain? There's too many 2s in the chat. Stop it. I need more 1s. I don't believe you. I've seen too much. I really have. Men want to fulfill this need but are limited by the concerns of life. Rich says, I never had that problem. Never. Brian on the website says 2. He's never done it. Come on, none of you were in high school girlfriend. Okay. Anyways, I've had 2 exes that I felt prioritized video games and Twitch streaming over the relationship. I love video games too, but it has not gotten in the way of spending in real time with people or obligations. My first boyfriend won't talk to me when I had put my sick dog down because he was too busy playing video games with his friends. Now, number 1, I would argue that social media is more detrimental to women than video games are to men. And more women go out of real life interactions to go on social media than the other way around. In a 2-year relationship, I lost count of how many jobs he lost because he kept showing up late from playing video games all night. Who are you guys dating? Okay. My next boyfriend would often lie about going to bed so he could game with his lady friends well into the night, and he would blow off social occasions with me or my family so he could stick to his stream schedule. Well, okay, you guys realize that men don't really want to hang out with our families. They're not really dying to go to all these events on the weekends. I think that women, this is a working theory I have. So you guys, we can bounce together. I think that women want a backup plan. So what they do is they never we need more power in case the relationship goes south. I mean, that's kind of what feminism is. It's like, if you're doing behavior I don't like, I want to be able to leave and go sleep with the guys I do like. And the thing is, they have to keep close family ties. And also, women have power in groups because women's power tends to be manipulation. We can manipulate way better than men. And that's like why we like the cities, why men like the country, because they see the problems that come with groups. Usually problems, it's groups that women are in. Like, you know, when it's an all-male group, there are problems, but men kind of sort themselves out a little better. I mean, they'll beat up a guy if he's acting up enough. You can't do that with women. Unfortunately, you can't just clock somebody. Not that I know it's not legal to do it to a guy either, but I mean, they're less likely to press charges. A woman, she's vindictive. I mean, you just poke her, she's going to the police. Now, anyways, I have a working theory that women need their families involved in their marriage and relationships, and they do that to have a backup plan and a way of enforcement to the man, because they don't want to listen to the guys. So they have to have the dad get involved or the friends get involved or whoever get involved to get what they want, because women are too lazy to learn communication and we want other people to enforce things. Working theory. I'm going to do a show on this when I flushed it out more, but if you guys have thoughts on that topic, put them in the comments, please. My boyfriend would go to work late in the morning or early afternoon, do his job while the boss was there. And then as soon as the boss left, he started playing video games and wouldn't stop. Many times I'd call him and tell him I was going to go ahead and eat dinner, then call him and say I was going to bed. Then around midnight, I'd call and say, please don't miss the last bus. He'd wake up in the morning under his desk and look presentable when his boss walked in. I finally got fed up and left him. Rich on the website says, one holiday dinner, I ate dinner with 40 of her family members of friends in the basement. Once. Okay. Doug says, too many men think are alphas everywhere except in their house. So true. They're afraid of their wives. It's pathetic. Oh my God. I'm like, make it end. T-Carp, says, I've talked to my friends about this. If their wife isn't sleeping with them, they have to argue that they can't make life comfortable and let it be known. And we are talking about alpha men, that group where they're in the military. I think they would just bow down and never argue with women. You have to be able to hold your own in an argument. Yeah, you know, it's so crazy. It'll be like military men. It'll be like men that are, you know, there'll be like kickboxers or like men you never would think would allow some, like they would never accept that from a man. Like I've seen men simp that literally beat people up for a living. Like that is their job. And they would never, like if a guy said the wrong thing to them, they would beat the shit out of him. But they're afraid of a woman. I'm like, why? Pretty scary. You know, at least women are vindictive. I think most men would take a punch in the face over a woman trying to destroy their reputation for years. Right? I mean, let me know what you guys would prefer. I'm not saying you have to pick, but if you had to pick. Getting knocked out, like a stone cold knockout, but you don't die. And you have no brain injuries, but it hurts like a bitch. Or two, a woman that you dated and it went bad and she went into all of your social circles and tried to ruin your life. Put one if you take the knockout. Two, Doug says the former UFC fighter John Fitch talked about his ex-wife. It was nuts. She was a psychopath. Yeah, see, all the guys are picking one. Yeah, okay. All right, he would play for hours and hours. We're talking 8 to 12 hours a day. What's your screen time? What is your screen time? I used to be a gamer and even worked at GameStop when I was in my early 20s. He made me hate video games. I tried to play with him, but he's such a sore loser. He would throw tantrums and constantly complain, calling the game a cheater or saying it was glitched. He would get upset if my character did better or had a superior class setup, skills, artifacts compared to his own. When I started having dreams about destroying his gaming console with an axe, I realized that my current scenario was unhealthy for both of us. I realized that my current boyfriend plays games and is judicial about the time he spends on it, and will absolutely turn it off if I express a desire to do. Wait, hold on. Let me read that again. When I started having dreams about destroying his game console with an axe, I realized my current scenario was unhealthy for both of us. My current boyfriend plays games, but is judicial about the time he spends on it and will absolutely turn it off if I express a desire to do something together. He wouldn't answer his phone for hours at a time, like 3 to 5 hours, because he was on the game, even in the midst of something important happening. It all came to a head when I was supposed to meet him somewhere. He knew I was on the way, driving from an hour away. I didn't have the address when I was meeting him, and he wasn't responding to any calls or texts because he was on the game. I ended up breaking up with him because I couldn't be in a relationship with someone I saw as a child. If your main priority seems to be video games and not the adult human woman in your life, you're a child to me. Okay. These women sound nuts. Let me see what else people are saying. One, everyone's saying one in the chat on the website. You guys are missing out. The chat on the website's way cooler. No offense, guys. But if you're on make sure you hit the like button. There's 600 of you in here. Let's make sure there's over 600 likes. A like is free. I have a friend that hates Trump, and he was in the Marines for 30 years. I couldn't figure it out. Plus, he lives in Ohio, which is a Republican state. Richard, I've been stone cold, knocked out, and I've been attacked by a scorned woman, and both damaged me. Doug says, the things that I disagree with on Trump about, I think he's going to do a good job. Kamala would have been a disaster. T-Carp. I think most of our dads, mine included, were that 90s Christian dad taught to be a servant leader bullshit. We are doing what we were taught and waking up after we see 30 to 40 years of that in our culture. I know. All right, next we're going to talk about women, what to do if he's heavily into video games. How many people, I wonder, do you guys think this woman's going to advise to just let him play and not try to control what he does? Hey, Renee, I hope you're doing well. I'm an avid fan, and you and David become a cuter couple with every video. Oh, that's a red flag. That means she runs it. Usually if they're public facing and they do couples content, usually the woman runs it. You can tell if you watch close enough, but that's usually how it goes. My struggle is this. Recently, I've been a bit estranged from my man because he feels I don't understand his love of video games and wishes I did. I do my best to not make him feel controlled, letting him play when he wants to. What do you mean letting him? He's an adult. I mean, it goes both ways. The men think they somehow have control. Like, they're like, oh, I'd never let my woman do that. You can't. Nobody can. They're adults. They can do what they want. It's just they're single now. Like, that's it. Okay. And with his friends. But having him need to see me and appreciate the depth, inspiration, and heart he feels some games have given or is going too far for me. He even wishes I would play a bit so that I would stop assuming he's doing something shallow and meaningless. Is it not enough that I can leave him alone when he's playing and not complain after? I'm not silently seething either. I've come to accept his need to play. But now I feel controlled and unappreciated, simply for not seeing gaming the way he and his buddies do. I am not his buddy. I am a woman and his lover. I have no interest in his games. Is that an adequate way of thinking? And I want to flip it for a second. Do you think she forces him to be a part of her hobbies? Like telling him about celebrity gossip or whatever BS, we follow every day. Should I try harder to understand his hobbies, or am I wise in staying out of his interests? I feel many women struggle with men who love video games a lot. I don't know if David loves gaming, but most women I know whose men love it. It is frequently a struggle for her in some way. Would you like me to answer directly or answer it in a post? Up to you. But I would love to share your insights on how women should handle men and their love, sometimes obsession with gaming. It can be an extremely delicate subject for men, making them put up their defenses easily. So it's not easy to deal with the issue. Thank you for your time, Renee. I appreciate all you do. You contributed to helping Mike and I stay as strong as we do. Don't worry, we're still madly in love. Thanks for your email. Okay. All right. Thanks for your email. And yes, I can relate to this. I laughed when you said he wants you to appreciate the depth and heart that some video games have. Years ago, David used to play video games a lot, sometimes until late, and he had to wake up at 6 a.m. the next day for work. I feel it was his way of escaping from his job when he felt trapped in and hated. You've obviously struggled with this in the past, way before you emailed me. What I'm saying is you've struggled to understand why on earth he has to be so involved and distracted by video games and can't give you the deep love you want. To you as a woman, most video games are not full of depth or heart. I understand. You see depth in terms of human interactions and relationships. So you'd rather he come over to you and give you his presence and love you deeply. You don't know which way is up or down. When I first wrote this article 10 years ago, I was of belief that the masculine soul video games are a superficial way to meet your needs. I think intuitively us women assume that video games are a shallow way of expressing their masculinity and feeling successful. After all, you have to turn the game off and get back to real life somehow. Yet after being married to my game-loving husband and having 3 sons with him, I've come to appreciate certain things about video games. I will discuss these things very soon, but I wanted to first quickly address your need to not be around him when he plays them. For a lot of women, we'd rather not be around our men when he plays video games because we'd rather see him doing something more constructive. Even if our man is already successful and constructive out in the real world, it still hurts to be around him when he's actively playing video games instead of giving you attention. Not to mention being asked to play with him. It's a bit like, huh? Who said you can downgrade me to watching you play video games and playing video games with you? David used to ask me to play video games as well, and since I wanted intimacy with him instead, it felt like my needs were being dishonored, so I can relate. However, I can look back over the last 16 years of being with him. Some of the better times I had with him were when we played video games together. Only it's just the bond that was nice, because I was horrible at them. Getting good at the game took so much energy out of me. I realized that I just didn't come naturally to me as it did to him. He loves playing video games with my sons as well. And though they don't really spend much time playing games at all, whenever they do play games, I'm often ushering them off to read a book or go to the playground as soon as I can. But it was when he finally said to me that I understood. I like my boys playing games because it's good practice for them to learn to solve problems. He also mentioned that it helps them read even more outside of the reading they already do, because having to read the story in a game or read the instructions in the game gives them an internal motivator to want to read more. So even though I really understood whenever a woman says to me, my boyfriend plays video games more than he talks to me, I can't stand it. I am now unable to help her understand that there's a special something about video games that is super important to the men who love them, and it's this. To men, video games do have depth because it's an avenue through which they get to feel, express, and access their own masculine identity. In other words, they were able to kill, to solve problems, and overcome challenges inside of the video game in a way that life may not always really readily provide to them. In this way, it's not different to us women buying dozens of shoes or dresses when we hardly wear any of them. We appear to be wasting our money on pointless, but though it seems pointless to men, it isn't to us, because we get to have the option of wearing shoes that best express our mood and the feminine energy flavor we are feeling on that day. So that to us is the type of abundance. It may be excessive in the eyes of our boyfriend or husband, and he may not appreciate it, and it may become a bit of an addiction to us, but I don't believe we should condemn it because in moderation, and it may actually allow us to express our feminine energy. So now I'm going to help you understand his need for games, and I'll give my thoughts on what steps to take. Video games are an easy way for men to feel successful. It's kind of like women emptying their bank accounts and buy all the clothes and shoes and accessories and makeup they could hardly ever wear in order to feel beautiful and magnify their radiance. Obviously, the best way for a woman to magnify her radiance would be to become a woman who radiates love from within. No amount of clothing is ever a replacement for that. All the while, her man is getting stressed out and feeling disrespected because she's spending out all the money rather than giving him the love and appreciation he wants. Which would be one of the secrets to actually making her more beautiful to him, in his mind anyway. Are you wondering why my boyfriend wants me to play video games with him? It's because that helps him bond to you. As men bond with each other by overcoming challenges and engaging in a purpose or mission together. That's a masculine way of bonding. As for why he wants you to play with them, it's a classic case of men wanting their women to think more like them so that they can connect and relate more with you. It's no different to women trying to drag their men along shopping with them. Do you see where I'm going with this? On one hand, he wants to feel more connected to you because he feels like you don't understand him on his level, so he's trying to make you more like him. He feels this will make you understand him, develop a connection and a sense of commodity. Okay. Let me read the chat really quick. All right. Pearl, simping isn't a good move for getting married, but simping to get sex works very well. Thanks for the field report, Richard. Crazy Kyle. Pearl, real stuff. A man who plays games and has a child isn't good. It's better to play board games with your child to teach them strategies. Who are you to tell a guy what he can do in his house? Kyle, get out of here. Okay, Pearl Reed. Not sure if you saw this TikTok trend where women would ask their men how to get into their hobbies and the man's eyes would light up like a kid on Christmas. It took a trend for women to care. You want to know when I knew I was going to marry my wife? She bought me a $700 PS3 back in the day. And then she said, go buy that PS5. You work so hard for your family. You deserve it. Okay, let me get to the... All right, now she said, how to deal with it when your boyfriend plays video games for hours. Sit with him for 10 to 15 minutes and watch his game. What's the point of this? The point is to see him overcome an opponent. If you can even pick up what he does, you have to look carefully. If I ever do this, sometimes I miss his victory moment because I don't get the game. Oh my God, I relate to that. As a woman, I'm not really into these kind of things. He just wants you to appreciate his success. Yes, they're superficial, but fighting it won't help you get closer. And when he shoots someone dead or whatever triumph he overcomes, just say something like, whoa, that's so cool, or well done. Okay. It will make him feel appreciated and understood because his own woman is the one who recognizes his victories, however fake they feel to you. And don't sit there for hours doing it. You don't want to dishonor your own needs as a woman. That's not good for you either. It also does nothing for the growth of the relationship. After 15 minutes or so are up, don't obsessively this time. You want to be genuine about it and really put yourself in his shoes. Then get up and say, you know what, I'm going to read a book, or I'm going to go call a girlfriend now because I feel a bit lonely. If he tries to get you to stay, you don't have to keep staying. You should still be free to honor your own need for intimacy, especially since it's good for your relationship, to fill up your soul for you the best way you know how. Here's your second option. When he says, come play with me, you'll appreciate the depth and heart of the game. I do what I do very often when these high tension situations pop up. I'd turn around and be playful and say, oh yeah, come shopping with me and my girlfriends for the day. We can buy some pretty dresses and a wide array of soaps and maybe even shoes. And I do this just to break the pattern and make them go, huh? It changes the state. It gives their brain a jiggle in a fun way, and it breaks the pattern of him trying to get you to do guy things. Well, now I'm going to react to a couple podcasters with their thoughts on this. I actually usually like this couple, but they are simping right here. This is simping.
Talk about the video game thing.
Mhm.
We're at 2 hours already on this,
Wow.
but there's going to be things cut out, so it'll be under 2 hours as of right this second,
Mhm.
probably. But I want to talk about the video game thing a little bit.
Okay.
One of the emails was talking about the dude playing video games. He used to play video games as a form of escape.
Mhm.
I don't remember who I was watching or listening to, but the conversation of drugs got brought up and how people are an addict, and people who take drugs to escape their reality, they're addicts. You know, they do.
Oh my gosh, he's about to call video games the same. Have you met an addict? Like, men can play video games and keep a job, and they can do it. And one of my brothers used to play a lot, like a lot. Like, it could have been a part-time job. And he had a full-time job. He was productive. Had a relative who was an alcoholic. Very different.
Do that.
Mhm.
They then brought up the video game thing and said that people who play video games for 6, 10, 12 hours a day or do it every single day are doing it to
What's the women's screen time? What's your screen time?
escape something in their life. And we see people on TikTok constantly saying that my husband just plays video games all day long. He comes home and gets right on his console and plays video games with his friends and doesn't do anything around the house.
Mhm.
That is a form of escapism. He's
Yeah.
trying to escape his reality. There's a scenario in that when you really think about it, like he's not happy with his life.
Right.
And he's choosing to play video games and fulfill an addiction
Mhm.
than to actually sit down. And there's a difference between having a hobby and having an addiction.
Right.
You know, we're hobby photographers. We go out and do photography once or twice a week for an hour or two at a time together.
Mhm.
If I was gone 8 hours a day with my camera while you were here doing
But they're not questioning the women why they're so addicted to TikTok. They're putting that on there.
nothing, and it was just me leaving,
That's what I mean. It's a play pretend world. This whole world is like, it's just endless simping. God, and I actually like this couple. I've seen a couple clips, but it's a simpidemic.
you constantly. It's me leaving you.
Right.
It's no different than somebody coming home from work and getting on a console and ignoring your family, male or female, because you want to escape the life that you've built for yourself. When I heard that, it clicked. So like now I really hate video games.
Yeah.
And I understand that, like, I don't hate it in that it can be a hobby for some people. We have a PlayStation 5 and an Xbox here, like, and we have gaming computers, but we get like maybe an hour a month where we sit down and play video games. It's just not, it's too time consuming and like not beneficial to us.
Right.
For people who need that release,
Mhm.
fine. It's a hobby. If that's really what you enjoy doing, I get it. But when you are doing it for 8 hours a day, or that's all you do in your free time and you're neglecting your family, you really need to stop and think about what you're doing. And if you're escaping your family by playing video games, you probably shouldn't be with your family anymore.
Right.
Maybe you need to go to therapy. Maybe you need to find.
Sometimes kids are annoying. Have you guys ever been around kids? Like, I like kids, they're cute. But sometimes the dad wants a break because the kids are screaming or run. I mean, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Your intimacy again, or try to reconcile with your woman or your partner or whatever the case may be. But if you're spending more time playing video games than you are spending time with your kids, you're not being a father.
Mhm.
I don't know. I thought about that a lot, and like I understand the addiction aspect of it, but I never correlated the escapism of it.
No, I get that. That's how I was able to like gauge my growth as a human being. I used to play Skyrim 8 to 10 hours a day. And it's because I hated my life. I didn't want to be in my life anymore.
Yeah.
So it was escapism. And once I started processing my bullshit and actually enjoying things in life and being excited about the small things, like you said, I haven't turned that Xbox on in a month.
Yeah.
That's how I was able to gauge my own growth, is when I stopped turning to video games to escape what was going on and just started facing that shit head on, processing.
Doug says 9 out of 10 times if a guy plays video games a lot, it's because his wife is awful to him.
My things and just enjoying life.
I don't really enjoy video games.
Yeah.
Like I used to. I used to play Destiny all the time, but my friends were on there,
Mhm.
and like
I enjoyed Destiny.
it,
Destiny was
it
a fun
was
game.
it was one of those things that at the time my ex played, so like we all.
Oh, hell no. In my house, there's no screaming allowed. So if you're having a hissy fit and you're screaming, you go straight to your damn room and don't ever come back out until you start acting normal. Okay, well, sometimes there's a baby in the car. I'm just saying.
All played together. It was
Mhm.
it was a community that we had, but it wasn't like we were neglecting our lives to play video games. So if you have a scenario where you're a gaming couple and that's the hobby that you guys have and you guys are fucking murking people on Call of Duty together,
Mhm.
you are spending quality time. In that aspect, you both see that as quality time together.
Right.
But if one person's miserable and the other person's playing video games, you really need to look at the scenario and try to ascertain what's going on in your life that you're trying to escape.
Mhm. I got nothing else to say.
Yeah, okay, whatever. Woman quiets the toxic voice in her head when she sees her man play video games.
My boyfriend loves to play video games. And when he gets into his video games, like sometimes like he's, playing for like 3 hours at a time and like I don't hear from him. And I know he's just probably playing video games or maybe he went to go do some laundry or like clean the house or like whatever. I don't know. But like that intrusive thought comes in and it's like, he's cheating on you. And I was like, is he? Do we really think that that's plausible? Like, no. Let's be for fucking real. He's playing video games. Everything is fine. You don't need to worry about this. Shut the fuck up.
Woman gives advice as to what to do with a guy that plays video games for hours or has a hobby.
What to do if the guy you're dating is addicted to video games and he's not giving you the attention that you want. Let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Gina DeBellis. I'm a retired sergeant for the New York City Police Department. I retired with almost 27 years on the job. I have worked with thousands and thousands of men, and I've interviewed hundreds of others for a book that I'm writing and a website I'm building. Win. I hate win. So let's talk about it. So this is going to be a video for the girl whose boyfriend is always working on his car, like he has like a classic car thing. The girl whose boyfriend is always fishing, and the girl whose boyfriend is always playing video games. All three of you have similar problems, and I'm sure it applies to other people, so let's talk about it. When you met this guy, that guy that you met in the beginning, that was not your boyfriend. That was someone he was kind of portraying to be, to kind of like woo you. That was like the wooing guy. He disappears after a little while, and the guy that you get, 3, 4, 6 months into the relationship, that is your boyfriend. So please understand, that guy in the beginning, he's not your boyfriend. The guy 6, 7 months later, 4, 5 months later, that is your boyfriend. So if he's not giving you the time and energy and effort that you want, please understand, you're not going to change this man. I have worked with men for so many years. Like, I ran a detective squad in Brooklyn for 10 years before I retired. Like, that's actually where I retired out of. And I am telling you, you are not going to change a guy. You're not going to change him. So if he's spending all of his time playing video games or working on his car or likes to go fish, that's what you have. That's what he is. So for you to scream and yell and bitch and complain, it's kind of like you knew kind of what he was after a little while. No one can keep up that, that constant, energy of the beginning. That's the beginning. That's why it's called the honeymoon period, because it's the beginning. It's long term. It's how they are long term. So if you're not happy with the fact that he's always doing whatever activity he's doing, you have to ask yourself, is this the relationship I want? We're never going to get that to change. For you to be complaining and losing your mind over it, what you really might need to do is take a step back and say, is this the relationship I want? Because the person that you have is the person he is. So if you don't want a guy who's going to play video games all the time, what do you think? You're going to complain to him and he's going to stop? No. He's going to ignore you and he's still going to play video games. And this is the man he is. Now, will they change for another woman? Usually not. I'm sorry. They won't. Well, if they meets the right girl. No. Men are who they are. You get what you get. So if you don't like what you get, I suggest you get something different. Or you accept them for the man that they are. But more than likely, when you meet a man, if that's what he does, plays video games, works on his car, fishes, hunts, whatever his thing is, that's who he is. So just try to accept him for who he is, or just decide if that's not the right relationship for you. So I know that's probably not what you wanted to hear. I hope this helped. Take care and be well. Thank you for all the questions and comments and messages. I love them. Keep them coming. Okay, bye-bye.
Yeah, that's right. That's correct. That's the other thing. It's like, what? If you got him playing video games, why would he change? Okay, Ronaldolfo says, I love how Patrice O'Neill simplified that if women had no pussy, What would they do to keep a man? All the answers were sexual, but no female said tell better stories, learn pool, and play games. Crazy Kyle, here's a thought. I don't like girl streamers because they ruin the fun. T Carp, as a dad of two girls, I gamed last night 2 hours after I got home. I don't do it all the time, but it's a balance. Oh wait, hold on. I scrolled. It's known that dad plays for when it's my time, it's my time. Kyle says to Doug and Pearl, there's only one game I could play that is Death Standing. Pretty much delivering packages, also my career in life. T-Cart, modern women just sound like they want to date other women or gay dudes. Man doesn't have to change for a bitch, just used it to get bitches. Okay, do men really change at 4 to 6 months, or do you just forget how lonely you were 4 to 6 months ago? That's a good question. All right, Guy Simps for women and says why men are addicted to video games.
Can I explain why men play video games 24/7? I can explain that the video game gives the man a false sense of security about who he is. I believe that a lot of men that do this, kind of feel as though they don't live up to society's standards. But in the video game, they can be whoever they want to be. They can be as good as they want to be. They can be everything that they're not in real life in virtual reality. And I think it stems a lot from, especially men these days, I think it stems a lot from social media, right? So think about social media. You go to Facebook, pick a random guy on your Facebook. Anybody, whether you know him or not. Now you tell me how many posts has that guy made about who he really is? How many stressful posts has he made? How many posts has he made about how he doesn't have it together, how he's not always traveling, how he's not always dressed perfectly, or the doctor?
Guys don't post at all. What are you talking about? This should be to women. My God.
Picture. Tell me when his hair's messed up. Tell me about the real life scenarios about who he really is. I mean, you can't do it. You can't do it. But these
men don't care about social media. They care about real life.
Men live through their video game because they can be as good as their little thumbs make them, right? And they don't have to address any real issues of real life. That's my philosophy.
So we're going to do a call-in today. And I want to hear from you guys. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the men shouldn't play video games. What has your experience been with video games in relationships? And do you think it's good or bad? So we're going to put a Zoom link in the chat. And I'm going to go through the rules for calling in. Women, I want to hear from you too. Maybe you have a strong opinion. But I need to go through some rules. So the first thing is I do need you guys' camera on. We've had some weird people call in before. We really have, and it scarred me for life. So you guys can thank them because now forever I need all your cameras on. I do. Camera on. I want you guys to put down the phone and make sure YouTube is not playing in the background. And you can opt out of being on camera. So to start, we're not going to put you guys on camera. But I'll ask you for your permission. And you can say no, and that's fine. We just won't put you on the screen. But I do need to see that you're a person. I've had some weird... Look, guys, one person played porn on screen. And I'll never recover. I saw things, Have a statement ready, and please try to stay on topic. I really don't like cutting people off. It's really I need to get better at it on this show. But we try to keep people limited so we can get more people in. My next rule is you don't get to overtalk me. So I understand we get passionate. Sometimes we have a back and forth. Totally fine. We can, but I do have to keep the show running. We haven't really had issues in that department for the most part, but the biggest thing is camera on. Do we have we have the link in the chat. I see it. And we have Larry on the call. Welcome to the show. Are you okay to be on camera?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm greetings from Prague. How are you, Pearl?
I'm good. How are you?
Late at night, I'm up late, so.
Oh yeah? What are your thoughts on the topic? What has your experience been with video games and dating?
Well, first of all, I've been married for 12 years, 3 kids,
Okay.
all that good stuff. I'm a retired Marine, so video games was never really a big thing for me. I always had them, but use them as escapism. It's something you could just shut off with, and when the kids go to sleep, or the cat. But my wife's always been supportive, but I've never gone crazy with it. It's never been an addiction. What I wanted to comment on it was at a younger age, I have 3 kids, and they constantly want video games, and especially my 2 boys.
Mm-hmm.
And we're constantly like, it's always going to be there, guys. We don't want them to stunt their growth and get that. They're very addicting. They're very they can get enclosed in it and not it's horrible for their social standings, for their hand-eye coordination, that kind of stuff. And you get hooked on an earlier age, I think it affects your ability to control it when you're an adult. And I think that's where the problem is.
How old are your kids?
I have 2 boys that are 10 and 8, and a 3-year-old baby girl.
Is it hard balancing the technology with them? Because I'm assuming a lot of kids in their class have to have it. I'm assuming, or maybe they don't yet.
They're actually they're actually in a Montessori school, which is very good. And the fact that they don't lean a lot on technology, which we agreed upon. But as far as their friends and everything else, yeah, because they're exposed to a lot of technology and a lot of internet stuff that we want to kind of stiff arm for as long as we can.
Do most of them, do their friends have cell phones? I'm just curious how young the kids are getting it now.
Oh, yes. Especially my 10-year-old son.
They all do.
All of his friends have cell phones, it seems like. I think at least 8 out of 10.
What about the 8-year-old? Do they too, or no?
It's more than half.
Holy shit! More than half of 8-year-olds have a. Is it
Well,
a
I wouldn't
smart?
say cell phones. I wouldn't say cell phones, but they more than half definitely have some sort of tablet or iPad or something like that.
Holy crap! Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's very bad, and you see it now. And I'm actually just starting college. I've been in the Marine Corps for 20 years, and I'm starting college with all these 19, 20-year-old kids, and half of them have no social skills. They're so hesitant to talk to people. They don't know how to interact because all they've ever done has been attached to a screen.
Okay. Well, makes sense, Larry. Can't fight you on that one. It's a good point.
Anyway, Pearl, no, I've followed you a few years. I think you're very level-headed. I like your debating tactics, and keep up. Good work.
Thanks, Larry, for calling in. Call in anytime. And thank you for your service. Bye.
Bye.
Did he just say his hair is messed up? I wish I had hair. I know. They don't appreciate what they have, huh? Sorry. I don't think. Women, when do we lose hair? Oh my God, I don't want to think about that. Oh my goodness. I don't want to think about it. Phil, what's going on? Are you good to be on camera?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Are you good? Did you say yeah, you are?
Fine.
So what do you think of the video games? Or sorry, what do you think of the topic? How has video games affected your relationships?
Well, I kind of think it affects everything in our lives, not just relationships. And it's, we used to call them time vampires, right? They would take away just time that you could maybe be doing something else more productive. But at the same time, you have to, have some recreation, and especially like in winter when you really can't get out and do anything. One of those comments you were reading in the story was just trying to do things that maybe perhaps are mutually fulfilling versus, but first, Pearl, I got to tell you, I'm so upset that you said you're engaged. I'm really depressed. Maybe you can help me with that. I don't know.
I mean,
I'm just
oh, okay.
just kidding. But I'm saying when you get into relationships, obviously there's more intense issues going on. So you can understand why anything, not just gaming. I mean, you can have a friend, you're spending too much time with your friend and they get upset, or even men might get upset that the women are, this is pretty common, right? That empty nest thing
Yeah.
where, what remember you mentioned about when the kids get to about age 4, now they're getting bored and their focus is now they got all this free time and they go get divorced. They tend to get dissatisfied at that point. So, I mean, I think just in general, video games have a pluses and minuses. And I myself, when I was younger, I spent way too much time playing video games, and it's kind of was in the early advent of them, so they were pretty low grade, but they were still addicting. Incredible. I mean, the only thing I do now is maybe play a little solitaire because you could just kill it and who cares? But most of these games, you got to play hours and hours and save it in hours, weeks. And then they talk about each other. Oh, did you conquer this game? And it's like, it's just, I don't
Well,
know. It seems like,
I think the point is more that women waste hours and hours on doing like they have time wasters too, but men don't nag them about it.
no, I agree.
Yeah.
But I think there is a neediness there for women that aren't so much there for men, for that interactive behavior, where men are just they love to think of their wives or girlfriends as friends just that you hang out with, but that's women actually need more than that. I'm not poo-pooing women. I'm just saying that's the nature of women is they need that closer relationship that a lot of times men have a difficult time providing them.
Yeah.
Like you were mentioning earlier about it, they're having their families close and a more of a community kind of feel to everything, where men don't want that. We want to just be left alone, and do our own thing. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
about much I could tell you. I'm sorry.
that's okay. Thank you for calling, Phil. It's a pleasure having you on as always.
Thanks, Pearl. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. I'm gonna read the bye. I'm gonna read the chat while we get to the next caller. Fazelle says, "I'm not usually a fan of blue collar. However, your outfit looks absolutely outstanding. You pull it off effortlessly." Oh, you talking about this? I thought you meant the blue collar. Thank you, Fazelle. He said he's not simping. Okay. No, I'm kidding. There's no video game that can waste a man's time more than social media wastes a woman's time. Hey, women will break up their whole family for social media. I've never seen a guy break up his whole family for League of Legends, but women will get on TikTok, break up their whole family over TikTok, and then admit it. At least lie. Like that's the thing. Like they could lie. I mean, I am against lying, but there's some lying that's kind of being nice. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like when men cheat and they lie to spare the woman's feelings, and everyone's like, be honest, be honest, be honest. But if she's gonna stay anyway, and then you have to like argue with her for 2 weeks, you might as well just lie. The women, it's like, if you're gonna divorce him and it's gonna be for a stupid reason, you could just tell everyone that it was like not abuse, but like you're making it worse by telling everyone that you divorced him for a stupid reason. Going around the town. Anyways, Crazy Kyle says women waste time by watching Lifetime back in the day. How did I know? Because my mother used to watch it and I would be forced to, or I would watch it with my mom. Pearl, I've spent thousands on video games and thousands of hours playing them. Nowadays, I just see them as a waste of time. It's okay, Bennett. But now we have Chris on the line. Chris, are you good to be on camera? Yeah, okay. Welcome to the show, Chris. What are your thoughts? How have video games impacted your relationships?
Yeah, long time no see. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, fantastic. Before I get to that, can I answer a question that you had earlier? You can tell me no, but it's about why macho men, those tough guys, are
go
actually
ahead.
scared of women. And I can tie it into the video games.
The
My
hierarchy
video game
of
point is short.
simping. Did you see it?
No, I didn't. Sorry.
It's okay. Keep
I just
going.
started a master's degree, so I got in late on your episode.
It's okay. Tell me.
Okay, so being a United States Marine, raw, simplify. Um, Women actually study the rank structure and the format of military life, and especially from the lens of the United States Marine Corps. If somebody has an issue and they want it taken care of to the degree where they actually mess with a man's life or a man's career, they will actually go to the chain of command with that issue.
Mhm.
And they will even go so far as to articulate what level of an issue it is, because we all know garbage rolls downhill depending on what level of the hierarchy you're bringing it to, right?
Mhm.
So if it's like the company first sergeant, for example, just somebody high ranking, and then it goes through all these different filters until it gets to you, depending on your rank. And then now you have the weight of so many people on your shoulders when it could have been handled behind closed doors. It could have been handled in the family environment.
Mm.
So it's an absolute stressful situation. I'll spare you the details on how I've experienced it. Needless to say, how this ties into the video game issue. I've heard uh, and found credible sources to suggest this. I won't give them to you right now. The biggest three complaints of what women have, why men don't pay attention to them, they pay attention to these other things. The
Mhm.
top three that I've discovered were porn. I don't know if you're allowed to say that now
Yeah,
on
yeah.
social media, so I'm
That's
just
okay.
changing it.
Okay, okay.
I want to protect her brand. Corn, video games, and alcohol. Regardless of the order, not important, but clearly it's in the top three. Um, my point on video games is that it's amazing how many people in modern day are trying to demonize it to the extreme. Some of the examples that you saw on later in your podcast, some of the video content before you got to Q&A, was about demonizing it to the degree of looking at it from the lens of such an extreme problem where somebody can't turn it off for hours on end.
Mhm.
Or they have to like get to a save point, which I get it, but like if your family's immediately injured and like they need medical attention or something equally extreme,
Mhm.
can you peel yourself away from it? If the answer is yes, it's probably not that much of an addiction or a problem.
Mhm.
So I get where some people are, what's the word? Um, Over flaring it,
Yeah.
over embellishing it to the degree where they say, you know what, this is such an extreme, it's such a pandemic at that point that we need to do something about it. But at the same time, you can say that about anything. I had the same thing with drumming before I left for the Marine Corps.
Mhm.
I was doing that 24/7. You could call that an addiction, but I could drop it at any point to
Mhm.
go help somebody, like help my mom with making dinner for the holiday or something, like whatever it was.
Mhm.
So I think there's a fine line that needs to be addressed in this conversation that unfortunately I haven't seen. And I'm not saying like you haven't addressed, I'm
Mm.
seeing in all these other examples, people are always driving to one side or the other. Either it's too much or it's not
Yeah.
enough, as opposed to just saying, okay, let's talk about the three lenses. It's too much, it's not enough, or maybe it's just in the middle where it's a healthy balance of hobby versus addiction.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a bad thing,
Mhm.
but I think too much of anything is a bad thing, and that could include fishing. That could include any other hobby under the sun.
Mhm.
I just wish more people would handle this with a little bit more, I guess, care and responsibility in the public dialogue. But I
Mhm.
think you're doing great
Mhm.
things here, and I appreciate your level-headed conversation and
Mhm.
all you're doing.
No, that's a great point because it's not like most men can't keep a stable job and play video games. Like most men I've seen that play them a lot, it's just something they do. They might stay up too late and miss out on sleep, but they still get up and do their job. Would you agree or no?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Oh, 100%,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
My oldest brother is a huge fan of video games, been playing it all his life, but he still functions. He's still got 2 degrees
Yeah.
in, graphic arts and design and stuff. So, I'm convinced there is a healthy balance to it. I just
Mhm.
wish more people would address that elephant that doesn't even make it into the room to be conversed about.
Yeah. Well, that's a great point, Chris. I appreciate you calling in. Calling anytime.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
You too. I'm going to read the comments. Guys, I'm reading the comments on the website between callers. So if you have a comment about what the caller's saying, I read them off of the audacitynetwork.com. First link is in the chat. 80 bucks a year and you get unlimited comments. Pearl, there are games out there that have a good storyline that help the imagination, but these new games, they're all woke. I have heard about the ladies ruining video games. I have a life cycle of men's hobbies where men make something cool, not all YouTube, not all, but they make something cool, then women say, "Oh, that's cool, let me join." And the men are like, "Ah, hot women, here you go, come on in." And then the women say, "Don't enjoy it like that." And then they ruin it and make it woke, especially if the women are too hot in the games. They say make them uglier. I don't know. Is that what's going on? I don't play video games, but I've seen that in like media and like movies and such. So, um, welcome to the show, Carlos. Are you good to be on camera?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Welcome to the show. What are your thoughts? How have
Uh,
video games affected your relationships?
well, first of all, nice to meet you. I've been following your show for a while, and it's nice to have a nice Catholic woman that refreshes like the image of a woman, right? Because I feel like a lot of guys are very you know distrustful thing. But yeah, regarding video games, I think I have a bit of like a balanced perspective because I grew up in Cuba where there were no video games or barely any, so I got to play like around and climb trees, and we used to like have like seasons for different like games we'd play with the kids in the neighborhood. Like we'd have like dart season, like little like ball like season and stuff like that. And then I came here and there's a different culture, right? You're more isolated. And I think my main sort of like position right now with gaming is you know because I did have that experience when I was younger, is what's going on here is the only place where there's this like alignment of like the myth of like a man's purpose, right, to like take on these challenges and to hone your skill and a positive feedback is sometimes only found in video games. Because growing up, when just saying things that are true for whatever cultural reason, you get like a punishment. And I think Jordan Peterson talks about that, how if you really want to mess somebody up, you punish them when they do something good and you reward them when they do something bad.
Mm.
And I think people get caught in these weird loops. And I think it also has to do with self-consciousness, like being like feeling like you've made a mistake. And maybe like again, I come from a more like Hispanic background, so there's a little bit more of like a tolerance, right?
Mhm.
And what I've noticed is uh I think more people would be more comfortable outside, maybe more kids would be more comfortable outside if they didn't feel self-conscious. I think we've lost like the rules around like just having a good time in public. And I think a lot of men just feel like I can never be myself because the second that I like a part of my brain shuts off that tells me that I'm self-conscious,
Mhm.
immediately someone like that is highly self-conscious or that like doesn't want someone else to have fun,
Mhm.
right? Which tends to be the case. It'll just interjects, right? And tries to make you self-conscious. And women do this a lot, which is
Mhm.
another psychological fact, right? And so I think, I've been going to church recently a lot, and it's a good. I love it because I get to like feel like a man
Mhm.
and not feel self conscious and feel like yes, I know that I prefer that a man is the head of the household. Oh
Mhm.
my God, I don't have to feel self conscious here. I don't have to play some game and walk on eggshells. So I think the solution for all this like escapism would be a cultural shift or like and that could happen maybe just men have to do it themselves,
Mhm.
just find spaces where there's not so much like judgment and self-consciousness, and I think that's going to have to include certain rules, which is like excluding women. I know in the manosphere that's kind of like a thing where you just exclude women because I've noticed women a lot will try to get a man but they'll never say they want that man, and they'll like sort of learn how to mimic certain like male behaviors to be like, oh, I can hang.
Mhm.
But a lot of what a man is and a lot of male bonding is like problem solving and talking about the atrocities of the world. And I noticed that when that subject or that subject matter is included, women tend to flake. And I think a lot of women have been like convinced, like just from all this propaganda,
Mhm.
social media, to just think that if like a man is not giving you this like perfect image, then that's not a good man. He's like a loser or something.
Mm.
Whereas most men that do that either I don't want to have something sketchy going on, or just lying to them, right?
Yeah.
Which you can just do. It's up to you. But I don't know what's your thoughts. I don't know. That's kind of my take.
Yeah. On which part?
Well, on I guess initially it's like the self-consciousness aspect, right? Of like it's like the second that you calm down and you kind of start being yourself in public, um, because there's so much media. I think this is there's like no cultural sort of like understanding,
Well,
and it's
yeah.
a self-consciousness
Yeah.
thing, right? Where you kind of realize like, oh, I can't be like this here because it's a problem.
Yeah. Well, women can't take how men talk when we're not around and they get offended. And so
Yeah.
that's essentially what you guys have your spaces where you can be more of yourselves and like speak a different way that like more direct, and women can't take it. So they go into those spaces because you guys
Yeah.
you guys make cool stuff. And so we want to be a part of it. And then we tone police. That's like how it tends to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had experiences like that where you're trying to bond with a man and a woman interjects to defend the guy because she thinks you insulted him, but then that's how guys bond. You kind of just bust each other's balls and like you get along. So,
Yeah, I
but thank
saw
you so much.
I saw a
Yeah.
video of a plumber, a female plumber, and to start the way their initiation is to like I don't understand this, but they send the person who starts like on their first day to the store to get something that's not there, and the shop owner looks at them stupid, but that's how they initiate anyone. And she started crying and putting it on TikTok, but she went into the guy's spaces, and the way that they initiate is to kind of like hazing essentially. and
Yeah.
men kind of know that's something that you go through. Like my brother, he was in a frat and I was there when they were doing the hazing. And for me, I was like, I cannot believe they're doing this to each other, but they're like best friends to this day. So they just don't,
Yeah.
so I've
Well,
seen that too. Yeah.
yeah, and the whole thing of that is also just like, are you self-conscious? Because like, if you're gonna make a change in the world, you're gonna do things that a lot of people are not gonna like, but you have to just know that's the right thing,
Yeah.
right? And that's a big part. And for women, for some reason, I'm not, maybe conservative women, I don't like that, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know why there's such a because we're just trying to make the world like a better place to chill in
Yeah.
general. So
Yeah.
I don't know. But thank you.
Conservative women are worse. Be careful. Thanks for
Oh,
calling
okay,
in.
really? Yeah.
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 Thanks for calling in.
All right. Thanks for the advice.
Carlos,
Bye bye.
bye. Okay. All right. I'm gonna read the. Look, I actually have a working theory as to why the conservative women are actually worse than liberal women. Hear me out. Now, there was a point when I was doing my interviews where I'd interviewed 1,000 people, and I had to retroactively look back. Which women were the nicest to me out of these 1,000, and which ones were the bitchiest? Now, to be fair, my number one draft pick has to be the ghetto women, but that's got to be number one. I mean, when a woman on your show, and people are going to make that a race thing, it's not even the woman who threatened to catch a body, and I thought it was like a body count, but like a real body. She was white. So this is that ghetto transcends race. So that's number one. Someone's going to clip that. I'm going to get in trouble. I don't care anymore, guys. Do it, whatever. My number 2 draft pick, it's going to be conservative women. And I had to think about why. And I was like, why are the conservative women so uptight and bitchy? And I came to a conclusion recently. It's because, so they go to church, right? And most churches, they only demonize sins that men do. They don't demonize. They don't talk. I've never heard, to this day, I have never heard a sermon on wives being not real women. Same way they say, if a man doesn't work, he's not a real man, you're not providing. I've never heard one about women not fucking. Sorry, having sex. But women do that all the time. I've never heard a sermon ever. And so what I realize is they go to church and they're never told they ain't shit. They're only told that the men need to wait for you. Don't let the men pressure you. They're never told you guys are whores. Like put your clothes, like stop being whores. And you're a bad woman if you do that. So what they do is they go to church and they get all of the ego, like the virtue signaling. So they can put on crosses, they can put a Bible verse in their bio, they can take pictures praying. And so they get all of the good person points, but they don't have to do any of the work. So they have a bigger ego because the liberal women are like, well, I guess I'm a bad person. And they let you know up front. They say, you know what? I am bad. I am a whore. And the men are like, well, we can work with this. And I kept having to think, I was like, why are the worst women I've met? Like, why are the worst divorce stories I've seen? I mean, other than the liberal women that transition, so to be fair, like I've seen both, but some of the worst ones were conservative women. I mean, Hillary Crowder was going to all of Stephen's work colleagues and calling him an abuser. And I thought their ego was tied into being a good person. And so anything that they've done that makes them a bad person, they don't want the man to say, so they got to destroy him. Where the liberal woman, at times, she's like, I'm a bad person anyway. So if she gets divorced, no one's surprised. She's like, well, I'm a whore. That's my analysis. Now, you guys could disagree with me. You're totally welcome. But the conservative women, they're almost worse. Because now, like the Nala woman, she's like a new conservative woman. Now she's going to go around and tell everyone else, like me, how I'm not I'm not good enough when the bitch did porn. At least when she was a porn star, she's like, yup, I am a porn star. I preferred her before. I really did. They're like, would you rather she did porn? Yes. I would rather her do porn than grift religion. Yeah, like at least admit, they're like, isn't it better that she stopped? No. It is not better to have her put a Jesus cross on, do sexual things with a Jesus cross on. You might as well, and then talk about the Bible like she knows what she's talking about with slutty clothes on. You might as go be a porn star. That's what you obviously want to do. Could you stop pretending you don't want to go do it? But then she's like, well, if I'm saved, then that means you have to stop your behavior. What am I doing, Nala? What am I doing? You got tag teamed on camera. Anyways, that's the equivalent. The only difference is the older Christian women have more of an ego. Their shit's not on camera. So they can pretend it didn't happen. The older women, they come in and they say, we didn't do that back in the day. Bullshit. I heard about Woodstock. I heard about the 70s. There was a woman, there's that woman that goes around on the college campuses, and she said, I was a hoe. Like that old lady, I don't know if you guys have seen her. But she said back in the 60s, they were hoeing on campus. But all of you guys as mothers, and you guys are simps because you think your moms are telling the truth, simps. She's lying too. They're all lying. Unless, okay, if your mom got married at 18, she might not have done anything. Nah, these girls are starting at 14. Get out of here. Sorry. But that's why they're worse, okay? That's why, in my experience, unless they go down the trans route, the lefty ladies, those have to be the number one. You know, it's going to go the ghetto ladies, the pro-trans, the ones that want to transition the kids, then the tradcon women. I don't know. Let me know your thought. I'm going to make a hierarchy of how bitchy the woman is. Okay, I'm sorry about that rant, guys. We're going to get back to the callers. Welcome to the show. Oh my gosh, what?
Teriak.
Teriak, thank you. I'm not good at
Yeah.
pronouncing
No
names.
problem, no problem.
Are you good to be on camera?
Yeah.
So what do you think of the topic on video games? How has that affected your relationships?
Yeah, so for me, like personally, what I was saying is that like fundamentally, no matter what the guy does, so long as he's happy without her, if it doesn't involve her, she somehow finds an issue with it. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's like that deep inner thing. It's like if he can be happy without me, he doesn't need me as much, and it kind of plays on him in terms of that role. Because like how many times like would we bring up like video games and all this kind of stuff? We never address like how much time women spend on social media.
Never.
Exactly. You know what I mean? And it's like we look at like we can point to like Elon Musk as an example. Like he's like a multi-billionaire, has all these companies, all this stuff, and then he's also one of the top ranked Diablo players in the world. So if he can spend time to play video games. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
and then often like when you see the argument, it's always like, oh, if he's spending 8 hours a day on video games, but it's like at that point it's like an addiction. You know what I mean? We're just talking about a hobby, not an
Yeah.
addiction. You know what I mean? But it's always this kind of thing, like an excuse to blame the man. Um, and then also, like I said, like you like some people say, oh, you just find a better hobby and all that, but I just point them towards Twitch. Twitch was supposed to be a gaming website where a bunch of nerds just went on, streamed them playing a game, and it was like a website for nerds, by nerds kind of thing. And what happened? All these OnlyFans chick, all these e-thoughts came on, and they basically turned it into a softcore porn website essentially. So, like I said, it's to me, it's just like another excuse for women to just be mad at their husbands essentially.
What do you think is the average screen time for women?
Screen time, as
I have
in
it here. Guess what the average screen time for women is a day? Like how many
like
hours
how
a
much they
day
spend on.
on their phone? Yeah.
I want to be conservative and say 4 or 5 hours, maybe.
7.5.
You know what I mean? And then we're saying that the guys were spending 8
I
hours a
know,
day.
I know,
People
I
pulling
I
8
know,
hours a day
I know, I
playing video
know.
games.
Yeah, I mean that's
It's
young women.
ridiculous.
That's Gen Z, but let's see. Oh, I know it's actually pretty bad when you go higher. It's 25 to 34 is 7 hours, still 6.5, 35, 45 and up, it's 6 hours. Yeah. Well, I agree with you. Well, thank you for calling in. A pleasure as
Yeah, my
always.
pleasure. Pleasure as always.
I want one more. I'm going to read the Pearl. The purpose isn't to bond with the greenhorn. We aren't making friends. We're humbling the guy, letting him know that we're more than him and testing his mettle. Okay, Dane. If you're working in a shipyard, you send the new guy to work or get something in the bowling alley. Oh, wait. Oh, I'm reading these out of order. Sorry, Dane. You send the new guy to get a beam stretcher or sky hook. If you're working in a shipyard, you send the new guy to get a work or get something from the bowling alley. The purpose isn't to bond with that greenhorn. We ain't making friends. We're humbling the guy and letting him know that we are more than him and testing his mettle. Bon Goon says, I've been shooting the crap in Twitter spaces. Fazal says, hooray, Jarhead. Pearl, oh wait, I've read that already. Crazy Kyle, there are games out there that, oh, I read that. Okay. You know, there's one other thing I want to ask you guys in the chat, and I just had this poll the other day. There was a billionaire on the Titanic, right? I always hear that like men should sacrifice for women and children. If Elon Musk and Grimes were on a boat, don't you think we should save Elon Musk and let Grimes and the kid go? We can make another. Elon can have another kid. Grimes is a crazy woman, right? We can't get another Elon Musk. Like that would affect the country for the next 50 years. Anyways, these are just random Pearl thoughts. Fazell says, there's nothing wrong with playing video games. It's just these bitches are attention seekers. Bon Goon says, no way Elon has got time to grind that character, lol. He's an efficient guy. Okay, welcome to the show. Tony, are you good to be on camera?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So what do you think of the topic? How has video games affected your relationships?
Well, I just think it's just a male space that to escape from because there's no other place that men can go to nowadays. And I mean, the only things that I can think of that have a male space are like Brazilian jiu-jitsu and video games. So um, that's what I think that's what gravitates men towards playing video games, right? Because
Yeah.
it's just so messed up, man. Like, what are you supposed to do? Like, you want to start a family, you want to get married, well, have fun getting divorced, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's fucked up. There's nothing. Sorry about the swearing, but there's not a lot of safe places men can go to.
Yeah. What do you think about women that nag video games and say the men aren't productive enough?
They're just doing it for themselves. At the end of the day, like they're on social media, what, like you said, like 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
So, like, what's the difference between social media and video games? And like, I don't even think most men play 8 hours a day. I
Yeah.
think like maybe on like a weekend we might play, yeah, sure. But, like there's some cool like games where men can bond. Like there's like military sim games and stuff like that I play every once in a while, and it's just like a bunch of guys, and you know what I mean. Like we can
Mm.
just say and do whatever the fuck we want. We don't need to, you know,
A man
worry about.
spends video games a single session 1 to 2 hours on average. That's what it says
Yeah. So.
online. Well, thank you. That's a very good point, Tony. Thanks for calling in.
Oh, yeah, no problem. And I just want to say, like
Mm.
Nala and like that whole situation there, it's just like conservatives love her because like it just gives them an excuse to promote their religion. Like that's
Yeah.
all it is. Like porn star turned Christian, and Jesus saved her, and like look how great Jesus is, right? And that's like the only thing. That's why they love her so much.
Yeah. They want to
At the
be
end of the day, it's all about
right so bad.
yeah, and they just want to make the moolah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for calling in, Tony.
No
Calling
problem.
anytime.
Thanks,
It's a
bro.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Conservatives that support Nala are ridiculous, is what Doug says in the chat. Look, guys, I understand getting bamboozled once. Look, I gave Brittany Renner way too fair of an interview at the time. I mean, to be fair, I did let her hang herself. I really did. But going back, at the time, I was so busy. I wish people could understand. At that point, I was doing like 2 or 3 pieces of content a day. I was stressed out. However, and it was just me scripting them, but I understand getting bamboozled once. But Michael, I've done whole streams giving you receipts. This is getting ridiculous. Next on the show, we got, oh my gosh, it's small in the corner. Rodolfo? Am I saying it right? Are you good to be on camera?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I'm outside, so I don't have the best lighting.
Oh, that's okay. Where are you at? It looks very nice. It's like very spacious.
I'm in Texas. I'm in my backyard.
Is it warm there?
Nah, I mean, we had that cold week, so it's like 40, 50 degrees right now.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
I'm from Chicago,
Yep.
you know.
Oh, no, thank you.
So, what do you think of the topic? How have video games affected your relationships?
So a lot of the girls I dated, they really didn't care, but the last two, the one girl was into Skyrim a lot, and she bought me an Xbox One, but I was a sim back then. She was a single mom. So, after a year, I was like, you know what? I really don't want to live this life. So I gave her back the Xbox and I broke up and whatnot. But the girl I'm dating now, she loves playing video games. And, me too, right? I grew up with Pokemon, Game Boy Advance, and all that stuff. So it's been a lot of fun. It's nice knowing that she can understand where I'm coming from and not like somebody outside looking in kind of
Yeah.
situation.
Would you say that's a plus for you, like dating her? Like, would you say it's like something that drew you in when you were deciding to date her or not, or no?
Yeah, it was a plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like it doesn't like I had to go through an evolution process or whatever. But I remember thinking like, why would I want a girl that's super hot and fit and athletic if I'm not going to the gym? I'm not going to be able to catch up to her level. So this girl, if she plays video games, well, she's on my level. She can understand why I love shooting people and in Minecraft, as they say.
Yeah. Well,
But oh well, sorry. Well, I caught the last bit of the last guy. I'm only on my phone, so I can't watch your stream at the same time. But I wanted to say that I think the other guy mentioned it, but I think the reason why conservatives and a lot of other people are attacking games is because it's the last bastion where men could be men. Because it used to be that where you went to a mechanic shop, you could have pin-up dolls and tell dirty jokes and things like that. But they took that away. They took comedians away. They took funny radio stations away. They took YouTube away. They took everything away where men could be men. They're even taking away the gym. Like you can't even work out without a girl accusing you of sexually assaulting them. So, but it's like Christianity. Everybody attacks it because it's so easy because the Christians don't fight back, but nobody ever attacks Buddha or Muslims or anything like that because they're cowards basically. But that's why the conservatives love to jump on video games and anime and stuff like that because they want to please the women more than they just want to leave men alone.
Yeah. That's a great point. That's a really good point.
Yeah. But hopefully I'm not being too boring right now, but
no, you're
But,
good.
yeah.
Thanks for calling in. That was a really great point.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, love your stuff. You're doing God's work and keep up the good fight.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Enjoy the warmth because I don't have it here. Okay, let's see. There is I'm single and I've stopped playing video games. This is the wrong show for me. Joel says, my husband plays video games on his day off. I learned his favorite video game so I could appreciate its difficulty and talk about it knowledgeably. When he plays, I hang out or do my own thing in proximity. Dane says the problem with video games is it's not productive. It doesn't produce anything that builds society. Nothing wrong with having some downtime when it's a huge part of your life. Feminine. I screw off too. But when my non-productive time is so much of my life that it's part of my identity, then I'm acting like a woman. Dane, the average session is 1 to 2 hours. Where are you? Fazal says, God can't help himself with these bitches. Oh, you guys are cracking me up. Crazy. Men are so much funnier than women. You know what? I think I'm funny for a woman. No, YouTube, not all. But even the average guy will be funnier than me, like by a lot, you know? Okay. Pearl, women are Indian givers, lol. Dane, I'm old. When video games came out in the 80s, they were child toys. As boys grew up into manhood, they took on more mature and productive hobbies. So to me, they're symbols of immaturity. These guys are whining about women taking away their space to sound weak because they keep running to the next place instead of standing up and telling the woman to have a seat and hush. Dane, okay, I want to play this out. I want you to think about this. So if they go to the gym, right, and the women come in and they're like, let me in the gym. And the men are like, okay. The average guy doesn't have the power to kick women out of the gym. The average men don't have, like, I went to a gun range and there's like a female gun sport. Like most men, you could say the business owners are simping, but the men don't spend money like women. Like, do you guys know how many membership? I'm going to like pretend pander right now. I'm going to pretend. Do you know how much money I could have if I just said, you know what? Let me just tell you how I could have made $1 million. You know what, women? He just does not appreciate you. You are a queen. Thank God you dumped his ass because really he didn't know what he had until you left him. But, you know, luckily I can help you guys out, have your post-breakup glow up. Here's my thing I'm selling, or here's my community that I'm going to sell to help women level up in their love lives. Or, God, it's so easy. Or here, you know what? The real diet and fitness is going to be too hard for you ladies. So I'm going to sell you some other like fitness class that's not too much. I could sell fitness classes to help you get over your man. You deserve the best. Here's the media with the girl that's average dating the guy out of her league. Boom, I could be a billionaire. But I chose to be honest. What an L. Sorry, guys. Okay. Crazy Kyle, I go to the gym to be filmed being a straight asshole to these TikTok losers. They have dollar bills. They could join together, tell the owners to stop that simp shit. They could start their own gyms. They could buy equipment for their homes. But Dane, you got to think about this. Okay, so let's say the men get together and say, we want our own gym. It's going to go freaking out of business because you know what would happen? They would say, this is the price for memberships. And all the men would say, F that, I can work out at home. Then he can make it triple. He can say, like, male gyms are like $20 a month. How much do you guys pay for your gym? Female, they can charge $150 plus a pop. So they say, ladies, $150, $200 for a yoga session. And then he can make, you guys got to think about 80% of consumer buying decisions. So you can make $2 or you could make $8. What are they? You're like, and then you're going to tell them, I know you have to pay a ridiculous amount for a gym because these women are driving up the prices. Sorry, Dane. I don't think the average man doesn't have too much power. 2, the average man doesn't care that much. He's like, I don't care. I'm just going to go work out at home. That's too much work. You want him to organize a gym protest. These men have jobs. They're not women. Like, they do things at work. He doesn't have time to go, oh, let me just organize a protest. Like, we need a male-only gym. Let me fight these gym owners. The guys say, you win. I'm going home. I'll make a home gym. I'll do some push-ups. Good enough. Dane, when these men get together crying about how these women are driving them out of their own gyms, they sound like women. They're not crying. Nobody on here was crying. I didn't see anyone crying. Dane, can you let the men like talk about their problem? They're not even. Dane, you're simping again. We've talked about this problem with you. We've talked about this. I'm gonna have to call you again. Okay, Fazelle wants to know what my favorite gun is. I've only gone shooting like twice. The one they gave me, I don't shoot much. I've just been because we had a guy in town. What happened to that vlog? I just remembered a vlog I forgot about. Where did it go? Okay, well, P. Damien, marketing is always directed to personal insecurities. See y'all later. Work is calling. I think I read all the chats. I'll go to the next caller. We got, is it Brighton? It's very small in the corner. Are you good to be on camera?
Yep.
So what is your thought on the topic? Do you think that, or how have video games affected your relationships?
Not very much, honestly. Can you hear me? by the way?
Yeah. So it hasn't really been a
Okay.
problem for you.
No, honestly, I just play like 2 hours a day after I'm done with all my crap,
Mm-hmm.
and then, she's in bed and that's about it.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's all about balance and moderation, really.
So you're pro video games. You can have happy relationships with video games.
If you balance it right, yeah.
Yeah. When do you think it's a problem? Like, how many hours a day is like, would you, if you had a friend and he said, I played this much every day, when would you say, dude?
Mm-hmm. What would you say the problem starts? Okay.
Yeah.
When it interrupts what you have to do.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah. So when it's impacting your job or like taking care of your family or something.
Yeah, or even the relationship itself. Yes. That's when it interrupts it. Like, if you can do it in a healthy way, go all out. But if you can't, better go back on it.
Got it. Well, thank you very much, Brighton. I appreciate you calling in. Doug,
appreciate you guys too.
Doug says you don't follow the trends. Or wait, hold on. Pearl, calling these whiners to suck it up and take care of their own lives ain't simping or white knighting. I'm not protecting women or making excuses for them. Dane, I'm talking about what happens in society. The men, they don't even fight it. Like, the men are just like, you want to ruin our video games? Keep them. We'll go do something else. They're like, you want our gyms? You can have it. You want the children? Fine. They do fight that. But that's, the men, it's like, the younger men aren't really fighting as, like, how do I put it? The older men were sold a bill of goods, right? So the older men were lied to. Like, they thought they were going to get one thing. But the younger men are like, no, I've seen 3 of my aunts divorce. I've seen that guy divorce. The younger men are like, I'm just not even gonna date. This is too much work. Or they say, the younger men are wising up, but they're not really complaining. They just are like, I'll go do something else. All right. Women will set up All right. Doug says you don't follow the trends. Women will set cameras up in the gym. They will try to record men and look at them and post the video and accuse the man of being a predator. You got to go to the gym. Dane says one guy I worked with spent 20 hours a day playing video games online. He had a wife and a child, and they struggled financially. That's enough time for a part-time job. Well, he might have had a problem. I don't think that's the norm, though. Young men, just don't let it become an obsession. I think more than 2 to 3 hours a day is much. Doug, it's not men crying. It's men acknowledging that the women are opportunists and trying to get clout on social media. Tell me everything you know about what I follow or don't follow. Stop casting men as victims. We built civilization. You guys are arguing in the chat. Pro, correct. They don't even fight it. We chopped down the wilderness and killed the wild beasts, but the men can't even stand up to women. Okay, but this is how it goes. You have to think, the guys have to look at the fight and think if they're going to win. Okay, my old gym in London was a perfect example of what happened, my old gym. So they had women, they were a bodybuilding gym, and they had women, join it. And it used to be an all-male gym. It used to be all male. They were perfectly happy. And then the owner wanted to make more money, so he let women in. Now, if one guy starts fighting it, there's going to be all these other guys fighting him to protect the women there. It's too much work. It's just he's not going to win. So, Pearl Reed, Dane, Simping. Stop simping. Dane's not a normal simp, but he has a little bit of simp in him. Sorry, Dane. Fizzle, I bet my left nut that if men ended up in hell, women would follow us out of jealousy. Oh, that's so funny. Okay. Dane, that's not the norm. Again, 2 hours, like the body counts, triple that number, and that'll be the real number. 100% true. They would follow men to hell and then try to kick them out. Bennett, what's Andrew Tate's opinions on video games? That's the opinion I'll form on them. Bennett, you got to think for yourself. Don't look at Andrew Tate or me, don't look at anyone. All right, anyways, next on the show, we got Daniel. Welcome to the show. Are you good to be on camera?
Yeah, I'm good to be on camera. No problem there.
What's your thoughts on video games?
Oh, video games? I don't really have a huge issue with it. I think the thing when women really complain about video games, I think they're actually complaining about computer time. And I don't think they really realize that, when a guy plays a video game, he's actually just on Discord or something else, chatting up with his friends, or he's sharing YouTube videos, or they're watching History Channel stuff. And so it's I think they think that because you're in front of a computer, you're just always playing a video game. And it's with what that other guy said earlier too, with mil sims, military sims and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's a real way people bond, on Rising Thunder or Rising Storm, whatever else it is, or Arma or other things like that. I don't play those as much. And then there's also another comment that somebody made earlier in your stream, which was oh, go play board games with your kids. And it's dude, when my kids come up here, they sit on my lap and I'll show them a 4X game. And a 4X game is far more challenging and tactical and strategic than playing chess. And I play chess. It's I can teach them that, or at the same time I can show them history on some of these maps or other things like that too. Historical events. There's plenty of games that deal with that. And so it's these people think it's it is an escapism, just like any hobby is, right? But it's not negative to the extent that people think it is, unless you have an extreme addiction, and you're neglecting specific other things. But the problem is I think women tend to believe that any attention that's not towards them is neglect, right? In extreme ways, because of the social media addictions today, the self-love cults today, and a lot of other problems. And I think that really leads into a lot of the significant issues. But it's dude, no, my kids will come up here. I'll have them play games with me. My wife, very early on, when we had just gotten married. I mean, she was like, "Should I buy a computer to play with you?" Because she was trying to, of course, spend time with me.
Yeah.
And I was like, up to you, but yeah, I don't mind that, you know. And it's definitely something you can bond with, and it's not just fucking sorry, sorry for the language, but it's not just mindless MMOs that people play all the time. A lot of it is strategic and tactical and historical and story driven and like things that make you have your mind think critically. And I still get up in the morning and I go to the gym and I still work out. I still do all that stuff, and it's like it's just it's the solipsism today among women. And I think it goes to something you said earlier, which was that there really is nobody holding them accountable anymore for their solipsism and their kind of very egocentric mindset. And the problem is that children have egocentric mindsets, and so this egocentric solipsism is childish at best. Like that's the real childish behavior, thinking that you yourself deserve all the attention of the world and that there aren't more important things at stake, whether it's socially, whether it's culturally, or whether it's your own children.
Yeah. When do you think do you know anyone where it's become a problem, video games?
Yes, I do. I do know that. And I think what I've tend to observe when it becomes a problem is usually when the individual can't even hold down a job, right? But most men are holding down jobs while playing video games or whatever else it is. It's more of like an excessiveness where they become some sort of like incel, like
Yeah.
they're living in their mom's basement, which is where that whole thing comes from. Because I mean, I saw people like that when I was growing up at a young age too. Like my brother used to take me to his girlfriend's house when I was like 14 all the time. We'd walk there, and she had this cousin that like literally just sat in his room and like you could see like the the
Yeah.
oil on his face and the
Ew.
sweat and everything else like that all the time.
Yeah.
It was nasty, but I could also see that guy had some significant other issues going on in his life as well. Um, and he didn't really have a wife or kids or anything like that, so it's not like he was going to achieve any of those things anyways. So
To be honest, I'd say out of the 5 smartest people I know, I'd say like 3 or 4 of them play video games that are guys.
yeah,
Yeah. Like
yeah,
it's
I
almost a
think
very high IQ. Some of them I don't really know games like that, but I think some of them you have to be pretty high IQ to be good at.
that's very true.
Yeah, I
I
don't know the difference. I couldn't tell you, but I've just noticed like even with my brothers, like one of my brothers is really smart and some of the games I've seen him like play or just look very complicated to me.
Paradox games and 4X games. 4X games are like grand strategy games where like you're managing all sorts of economic and diplomatic tie things while also managing military type things and governing all sorts of stuff. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, 4X games and Paradox games are a very big thing too that a lot of men play. So,
Yeah. Well, you made some great points, Daniel.
mhm.
Thank you for calling in.
Yeah. Thank you, Pearl.
Thank you. Look, I have such smart viewers. I think you guys are all so smart. Let me get to the next the Pearl Reed Dane. So I read that already. Okay. Pearl, that's not the norm. Again, 2 hours. It's like body counts. Triple that number. Okay. Let's say it's 6 hours and he plays 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 6 to 12 that night. You could say it's a bit excessive. But I mean, you could still do that and hold a job. Like you get off work, play, go to work. Okay. Then Doug, 100% true. Wait. Dane, you're talking to a man who is a part of the feminine lower Protestants who has spent over 3 decades dealing with these women scorning me, but I didn't relent. I needed to hear these stories, Dane. T. Carp says, God created the perfect place. Everything's amazing in the Garden of Eden. And Eve still wasn't satisfied, so men, you can't make her happy. God literally couldn't. The problem with these guys who cry about women ruining their spaces, is that they're too worried about the women talking bad about them, so they don't stand up to them. P. Damien, you could cheat easily like sweet charity, and of all the bastards the world despises, springing surprises in newer disguises, you could cheat easily like all charity. Don't know what that means, but okay. Daniel signed up for the 1-year support to Pearl and common sense thinking. Thanks, Daniel. I appreciate. Thank you so much. Look, every yearly membership sponsors a show. Now, not every show we've gotten a yearly membership, but it would be nice to get a yearly one every show. I want to get 3,000 or 8 $10 a month ones. Then, guys, if you think I'm off the chain now, I'll even go further. There's some things that I draw back. I have to say, YouTube, please don't demonetize me like a little bitch. But I don't want to get kicked off of YouTube, you know. So when I do that, but if I was YouTube free, then I'd say F you. You know Crowder, he does that. He got enough memberships on his website. I'm just telling you guys the challenges I face here. It's not, some of these women really try to ruin my life. I mean, they call me a pedophile. You know how crazy is that? I'm like, hey, go watch your kids. The woman's like, pedophile. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I'm like, hey, stop arguing with me. Could you watch your children? She's like, leave my kids out of this. I'm like, what the fuck? If they are willing to throw that insult, think about what else they're willing to do. Pearl, I had a bachelor's in theology, but the reason I've never held a full-time job in the church is because women run the church and I won't submit to them. I'm not a simp or white knight telling weak punk whining men to stop crying and take responsibility for their lot in life and tell the women to shut the hell up and know their role is not simping. That's all I'm saying. They go to Call of Duty and feel all the powerful and tactical, and they can't put these women in their places because they're afraid the woman might complain. Doug, there was a guy that was a professional NBA 2K player. He made over $400K a year playing that game. His girl deleted his players because she wanted him to spend more time with her. If he worked 8 hours a day and 6 on video games, then how does he have time to train his sons into men? It's probably for a guy that doesn't have kids, Dane. I mean, that's what... Okay, she has a camera set to film his reaction. He got pissed because she took away his way to make a living. She had no idea how he made his money, and he paid all of the bills. 6 hours a day, 7 days a week is 42 hours. That's a full-time... Okay. Full-time... I'll read the rest of your simpery, but it's only because you're paying me, I'll be honest. And I'm still going to say that you're a simp. I'm still going to do it, Dane. Simp, simp, simp. Dane is S-I-M-P-I-N-G. Relaxing and having his own space to socialize is in his purpose and providing to us. T-Cart, Pearl is simping for YouTube. I do. I have to. They put the metaphoric gun to my... They're like, we'll delete your channel, but you need to simp a little bit. And I'm like, fuck. I mean, I know how you guys feel, you know? They treat me like you guys because I talk about this stuff. And I could tell you guys stories of the... You know, once I got yelled at. I'm not going to tell this story. I'm going to hold that one. But men who are successful on the level of your dad don't play 6 hours of video games a day. Do we need more men like your dad or the ones we see now? I don't think most men are capable of being my dad. I'm not even trying to be rude. I'm his daughter, and I'm not capable of being my dad. My dad probably looks at me like a lazy kid. Do you know what I mean? Like Dane, I understand the sentiment, but men like my dad, they're born. Do you know what I mean? They're just one of those guys that they don't rest. And no matter how much the normal guy tries to be Elon Musk, he is not going to be Elon Musk. I'm sorry. Okay, Dane. How is it simple? Oh, now we're going to go back and forth, Dane. Now we're going to argue in the chat. You know, I have a job. I do. I'm supposed to. Okay. How is it simping to tell men to stand up and do what only men can do? That's like telling women to stop taking birth control. I do tell women, well, I have nuanced stuff on birth control. I have a nuanced opinion. I used to think we should ban it, and I still do sometimes, but then I see the women that have kids, and I'm like, fuck, that woman should not have a kid. Oh, hell no. And I know the pro-lifers, what they'll say is, well, everyone should have a right to life. And I'm like, yeah, but if we could prevent... I mean, I think Ted Bundy was born to a single mother. If we could prevent, I think it was a net loss to society. Like, like preventing that. If his mom took birth control, then there wouldn't have been like 20 murders. Now I know what you're thinking. You're like, Pearl. The pro-lifers is what they'll say. They'll be like, well, but what's the argument they give me? And I'm not even pro-abortion. I'm really not. But, they're like, we can't know which ones are going to end up crackheads and which ones aren't. I'm like, well, I think there's a couple clues we can tune in on. Like, I think if we saw most of the parenting. Now, I don't think men have total control, right? I mean, I've seen enough OnlyFans models and porn stars with good parents to say, you know what? Some of these women just want to be whores. But I can tell you who is going to be a terrible mother. Like, terrible. God-awful, terrible mom. And I think you guys can too. I mean, there's some people, I'm like, there's a reason they had nuns, but I'm not going to expect these women nowadays to do that. I mean, they're not going to do it. I almost think maybe we should give, there's certain women, I think we should give like a tax incentive to get a hysterectomy or whatever they call it. Like certain women, I'm like, if you've been on benefits for 7 years, and I'm not talking about like a married woman that maybe I don't know, but if you have made like X, Y, and Z, we could go back and forth about the decisions, right? And I'm not saying there's people that are low income that are smart, they make good decisions, they're just low income. But I'm talking about people that are outright irresponsible. Like the other day I saw a clip of this guy who said he couldn't afford food with his family. And so he brought them into a store to eat. Like they would literally, like he said, we're going to eat in the store today. I don't think he should reproduce. I don't think either of those parents should reproduce. Like it's like X, Y, and Z, but I'm also not on the government forcing that, but I'd be okay with like a tax incentive. But I mean, to be fair though, luckily most of those women, I mean, they're not going to be mothers anyway. So luckily. Dane said, I've lost my voice or I'd call in. I'm telling men to stop neglect. Oh, nice excuse, Dane. They're a purpose for entertainment, just like I'm telling women to stop neglecting their purpose by using birth control. Curveballs. Gaming is more effective than binge watching. Pearl, defending men. Oh, now we're going to keep going back and forth, Dane. We're fighting like a married couple. With my chat. You see how this is? Okay. Defending men wasting time on video games is like women who defend women who want abortion and birth control. Both groups are neglecting their designed purpose so they can have fun. I got to defend some women on birth control because, I mean, you've seen them. Some of these women should not reproduce. God help those kids. Have you ever seen someone have a kid and you just think, God help those children? Like, God help them. Please, God, spare these kids. Some sort of miracle. Okay, so for the guys hating on the video gamers for playing more than 2 hours a day, this stream has lasted 2 hours. Does this count as the same? No! Stop it, T-Car. Okay. Diesel Water, welcome to the show. Are you ready? Are you cool to be on camera?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What are your thoughts on video games?
Okay, so video games. I haven't played them in a long time. I have a collection of it, like 100 games, and I play it for like an hour, and then I get bored, and then I don't play anymore. But I like to go back to what you were saying with the abortion and how some people shouldn't be parents. I think that's a good topic to be on. If you're going to be on your video game all the time and your kid's going to come up to you and be like, hey, Dad, look what I got. And you're like, shut up, go away, I'm playing a game. Then no, you shouldn't have a kid or you shouldn't play video games. Those are your choices. I don't know. What else you think?
Well, I guess it depends to what extent. Because I think sometimes guys need time to decompress after work. And if a guy's paying the bills and he just wants some time to decompress, what's the big deal if he tells his kid to? woman, watch this kid.
And that's a perfect
Yeah.
2-parent household.
Yeah.
One's busy, the other one takes care of it. But like, what is it? 70% of households are not 2-parent these days.
Well, women don't really work. They just go pretend to work.
Okay. I'm not a woman. I can't say that. And me personally, I'm on disability, so I can't work. But so,
Yeah.
I have no room to talk on that.
Okay. So your thought is if you put the video games over your kids, though, that's when it's a problem. And you're neglecting your duties as a dad.
Like the dude before said, neglecting responsibilities, shirking responsibilities. If you have a girlfriend and your girlfriend wants to go out, but you're busy playing a video game and you choose the video game over her, you're probably going to be single. So that's just a fact. But then we can go back to the
They never
like
used
the
to
whole-
they never used to have date nights in the old days, They never had them.
What?
They were on a farm. Like, that was history.
Well, that's because they spent all their time together and actually loved each other. Instead of, I'm going to use you for money, or I'm going to use you for sex, or I'm going to use you for fame, or whatever the purpose may be.
Yeah.
There was a connection back then that video games and social media and propaganda have completely depleted to the point where people don't even understand how to have a personal connection anymore.
I don't know. I just think he's not cheating. And if he's like a good guy, he's contributing. And he wants to play video games over a date. Now, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Okay. Once in a while, I would agree.
Like,
But
how
when
often, like, once you're married, how often do you need date nights or like living together or something?
Okay. What about dating though? When you first meet a chick and you get her number, you call her, you go on a couple dates, you're like, oh, this is great. And then you get into a place together and she finds out that you spend all your time on playing video games or whatever, and you no longer take her out. It's like a chick getting married and then not having sex with you anymore.
No, I don't really think it's the same.
What?
I don't really.
When you get married, or let me rephrase that. When I got married, my wife, we had sex like once every 6 months.
That's brutal.
We had sex. That's brutal.
That's brutal.
And so you spend all your time with the dude or chick, because chicks are gamers too. You spend all your time with the gamer, and then you move in and find out that they're a gamer. You never knew that they spent all the time away from you playing video games. And then you move in together and one or the other plays video games all the time and ignores you, then you're going to end up single.
Well, yeah, but the average woman's spending like 8 hours a day on her phone. So it's like,
That's the same thing. I agree.
But the men aren't dumping them over it.
They
So
should
they're
be.
like, yeah.
And on that note, I want to clarify what simping is. Apparently, I'm out of the lingo. And what is simping exactly?
It's putting women on a pedestal.
Okay. Yeah, that's a big problem.
Well, thanks for calling in. I appreciate the perspective.
Thank you.
Have a good one. All right, next in the chat. I'm not okay. Oh my gosh, you guys. Okay, Dane. Dane, we're gonna have beef if we gotta go back and forth all this time. How is it simping to men? Tell men to stand down and only do what men can do. Oh, wait, I read that. Bongoon, when is the simp song getting laid down in the studio? I know. Stop simping. I could do, like, you know how that Fergie song was like, like, what was it? It was the Fergie song where she said, glamorous. Hey, I could do that with simping. All right. Dane, defending men wasting. Okay. Bro, a hobby is Pearl Reed. Forget to say that the only reason men's gaming is an issue is because it gives women a chance to be victims. Men And women's female habits have been there, but now it can be used for clout. Dane, I'm old, but my understanding is that letting women control you will get you laid. And yeah, I mean, that's probably a better definition. It was just off the dome. My understanding is that simping is letting women control you and hoping you'll get laid, and white knight is defending women's bad behavior, hoping to get laid. This ain't none of that. You win, Dane. You win. Well, no. Actually, no, you don't win because I'm a woman. I've found a way to argue. So, no, white. You're right now. You're defending women nagging on men's video games. You might not be hoping to get laid because you're married, but it screams white knight. Sorry, not sorry. That's basically the same type of excuses that women use for weak behaviors. Well, it's better than such and such. You and other crying about women invading your spaces have a victim mentality. Your argument that wasting time is better than getting shot or some other tragic and unhealthy act is the same tactic women use to avoid the truth of my arguments. I mean, I'm just saying, not every hobby has got to be that bad. I mean, no one's going to be productive 24 hours a day except my dad. He really is. I don't. Okay, Pearl, I'm going to make a book called Lord of the Bitches. Kind of like Lord of the Flies. How many hours do women spend reading romance novels? Daniel, my dad is the most stoic individual, no complaining, and built like an empire. So Pearl, go and make it happen and build your empire hardship, and you'll make it happen. Thank you. I'm trying. I mean, I'm doing what I can, you know. This is the question of alpha or beta come into play. Men escaping their families with 6 hours a day and crying about how women run them out. Beta, man up and lead that bitch. Okay. Ronaldo, there isn't an argument. I'm trying to relax and have fun. I'm going to relax and no one's going to tell me what to do. Pearl, women spending 8 hours a day on their phone doesn't justify men wasting productive time gaming. I'm not womanizing. I'm not pedestalizing women. I ain't simping. Beef. You know I love what you do, but come on, ignoring the weak men needs to happen too. These women were raised by women. Think about that. Fazal, love is like a fart. If you add a little bit of pressure, it turns into shit. Thank you for that, Fazal. Bennett, working, lifting, marital arts, studying a useful subject, and going to sleep at a decent time than some man's needs. Do all that, and you won't have time for or think about video games. Pearl, I'm not defending a nagging woman. When we were married, Deej would start nagging me, and I'd call her down. It's been 35 years. I know how to handle a crazy woman. Ain't a simp here. Okay. I have one more caller, guys. This is my last caller today. Ronaldolfo, you did not get blocked. You're still there. All right, welcome, Sean. Are you good to be on camera?
Yeah, I'm good to be on camera. Hey, Pearl.
Hey, what are your thoughts on video games?
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts are that, it helps stimulate the mind, for sure. And, I know a lot of folks that are like kind of high-end professions, so like surgeons, traders, things like that. It kind of helps them with their profession because they have to be able to think fast and actually have like good manual dexterity. So it certainly is helpful from that standpoint as well. But not everyone works that kind of job, right? So you have some people who work in the Amazon warehouse, right? And they probably get cussed out at, they don't really have a good experience at work. Being able to escape from that and, kind of be the hero of the story and some sort of role playing game that they're playing, that kind of gives them a break from, the crap that comes with life, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's a net positive. As far as, women who kind of complain about it, I don't personally get any complaints, but I have a lot of friends who do. Usually when I see it, it's because the girl is kind of upset at that guy for something else. It's not really the video games per se. It's, she feels like she's competing with his time for attention because he's playing a few hours of video games instead of going for a walk with her or giving her some sort of one-on-one attention for her to kind of complain, things like that. Or I would say it's because, something else that she's comparing him to. Like there might be other guys in the neighborhood or at her church who are highly successful and he's maybe making 50K a year or something like that. And she's kind of looking down on that. And she's thinking, well, he could be doing better. I see all these guys doing better, right? Well, maybe if he took those 2 to 3 hours of playing video games, maybe he could be making more money. Maybe we could go on better trips. We're not always worried about finances. Things like that is where I see the complaints really coming in, but they're not really voiced directly in that way, right? No one's really going to tell you, hey, I'm mad at you because you're broke, or I'm mad at you because you're fat. because you could have spent those 2 hours at the gym or something like that. They're going to say, why are you always playing video games? It's going to be very passive aggressive. That's what I've kind of noticed.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. She's seeing all the other husbands getting promoted at work, and she's like, "What the f?"
Yeah, I mean, if a guy's making $500K a year or $1 million a year and he plays 4 hours of video games a day, he's not going to get any complaints, right? But if he's making like 40, 50K, he's only, paying 50% of the bills, stuff like that. That's where she's going to start getting upset because she's going to be like, hey, Becky down the street, her husband takes care of everything. He takes care of the mortgage, the utilities, the trips, this, that, and the other. She's not having to pay anything. And I got to do my 50% because, he doesn't want to move up or he doesn't want to get promoted or whatever it might be.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's a really good point, Sean. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for calling in. You're my last caller today.
Thanks, Pearl.
Call in anytime, okay? See you. Okay, I'm going to read. All right, Dane, I'm going to read the rest of your comments. Only because you're on my website. Guys, you got to join. Even if he's trying to roast me. Weak. I'll read them. You know what I mean? Pearl, I'm a combat veteran of the World War D. And believe me, if I were a weak-ass simp or white knight, we wouldn't be married. But relax, man. It seems like you're having a Vietnamese flashback and you may need to sign back up and get a Purple Heart, my man. Dane, look, I waste my time in different ways, but I'm man enough to look at that weakness. And since I'm a man, work to improve myself to be more responsible and a better example to my sons. Damien, why did God create yeast infections? So women can know what it's like to live with an irritated cunt. Okay. Not a stop the tone policing. We have plenty of women do that, crazy Kyle. Trust me, no woman in my life would say that I'm a simp or a white knight. Okay. Okay, all right, Dane, you win. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like the video on your way out and subscribe to the channel. Ring that notification bell. And I'll see you guys next week. All right, bye-bye.